please lead us in the Pledge of the Allegiance.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, oral communication. We're going to try to keep it to 3 minutes today. We have bumped it up a minute, but we have a really tight schedule, so if you have something to say, we want to hear it, but please get to the point. Thank you.
Let me see if I can do this. Debbie Batista, County Clerk, Auditor, Controller, Register of Voters. This is election time. Next Monday is the last day to register to vote. So if one hasn't registered to vote, one needs to do that. One needs to re-register to vote if one has changed their name, moved into Tuolumne County, or moved inside Tuolumne County, and you want to re-register to vote so that the ballot that you receive will be the ballot with all of the races on it that you're eligible to vote on. For example, if you move from the city of Sonora to Tuolumne, you want to be able to vote for the supervisor that would represent you, and that supervisor happens to be up for election this time. So the 22nd is the last day to register to vote. Also, the majority of everybody, I hope, has already received their ballots, unless you just registered to vote. And then it takes a couple days. We, I think, sent out a couple hundred ballots just yesterday. Remember how important it is to vote. Again, I keep using City of Sonora as an example, but I think it was 12 years ago that it was only 6 people. So the people at the podium and a couple more would have changed the board of the City of Sonora. So your vote really does count at the local level. So hope you send in your ballot soon, and if not, please go out on November 6th and vote at your polling place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman Gray and members of the board. As you know, I am your district attorney, Laura Krieg, and I'm here with some really good news. We have our court support dog with us, Anne, and her handler, Christine. And we just want to give a huge thank you to the graciousness of the Sonora Kennel Club. And we have a few members, Marie and her husband, Scott Tarashi, Paul Woods, and Joanne Gritz, who are here. And I'm going to let Marie tell you, but they just gifted us a very gracious and generous donation to go to Anne's care. So I'm going to turn it over to Marie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for allowing me these few minutes. As she said, my name is Marie Tarashi, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Sierra Tuolumne Kennel Club, which we just had our dog show this past weekend. We began in 1973, and we actually hold training classes at the fairgrounds. We teach obedience, rally, agility, and even confirmation classes. We are a club that is licensed by the American Kennel Club, and we are in the purpose of advancing the cause and welfare of dogs, both purebreds and mixed breeds. We do not discriminate, so that they become valued members of the family and the community. The club is registered as a 501c4 profit, and we hold annually a canine good citizen test, a rattlesnake avoidance clinic, as well as our Responsible Dog Owner Day, which is down in Columbia, open to the public, and we do our annual dog shows. As a club, we try to support other organizations, and so today we have a check for Anne to help with her work helping the victims of crimes during their need of having to do their testimonies and things. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annie girl.
And I understand the dog is doing a good job.
Very good job.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Gary Stockel, Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control District, Air Pollution Control Officer today. I have 2 programs that I want to announce for our air district. One is after a 2-year hiatus, we are restarting our a 2018 free grain green waste drop-off program. This will be similar to the one that we've run in years past, where we will provide up to 4 cubic yard vouchers. Vouchers are worth 1 cubic yard each, and they can be redeemed at one of 3 green waste collection sites in the county. That's Cal Sierra Earth Resource Facility at Comage and Nugget Boulevard, David Weiss Plainview Slash Site, which is at Plainview Road and Highway 108 in Twainhart, and Greenworks LLC, which is at Tuolumne Road and Eagle Ridge Drive. Those vouchers will expire May 31st of 2019, so they'll allow a cleanup either in the fall or the spring, or both. So those will be available at our office and online at www.tuolumecounty.ca.gov. 4 vouchers per resident. The second is a news release that we're announcing a $135,000 wood smoke reduction program. Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control District is pleased to announce our pilot program, which is designed to help Tuolumne County households replace uncertified wood-burning stoves, fireplace inserts, or open hearth fireplace that are used as a primary source of heat with a cleaner, burning, and more efficient heating alternative. Our program is part of California Climate Investments, a statewide program that puts cap and trade dollars to work reducing greenhouse gas emissions, strengthening the economy, improving public health and the environment. Our vouchers will be issued in a standard amount of $1,000 or an enhanced amount of $3,500. To qualify for an enhanced voucher, the applicant must meet one of several low-income criteria, and proof of income eligibility is required. The program, the applicant must rely on an existing wood stove insert or open hearth fireplace that is uncertified, operational, and used as a primary source of heat in the residence. There's a number of methods to determine if your wood stove or device is uncertified. Anything that was installed prior to 1988 is uncertified. Beginning in 1988, US EPA began certifying these devices for particulate matter. Stoves that are certified do not, and inserts do not qualify for the program. I only have a couple seconds left, so I'm going to jump ahead. Currently we have 3 retailers that have signed an agreement with us to participate in the county. Building Stove and Sheet Metal, Longeway Road in Sonora, Foothill Fireplace Pool and Spas, which is Eagle Ridge Road in Sonora, and WCS, which is Winter Cleaning Service in Tuolumne Road. Applicants can only purchase from a participating retailer installer. Building permits must be obtained. All building codes must be followed. No home installation is allowed. Must be a licensed contractor.
Thank you. Sounds like a very good program in a timely manner. Thank you.
Chairman Gray, Board of Supervisors, my name is Bruce Erickson. I'm passing out a brochure from one of our 2 businesses that we have here in the Sonora, Tuolumne County area. Our company, Certified Scientific Instruments, rebuilds DNA sequencers, and then we've also designed and built a new DNA synthesizers. DNA sequencers read DNA. You've probably seen that on various crime shows. DNA synthesizers make artificial DNA. Feel free to take that home, and if you'd like to come by and see one in operation, just give me a call, and that'd be great. The reason I'm here today is because we moved our business up here from the Bay Area a couple of years ago. I've been living in Twainhart since 2002, and it just made sense to me. One of the things that it did was it cut my rent in less than half, and I was also able to find 4 really good employees up here. And so we've hired them, and then we brought up a couple from the Bay Area as well. But Tuolumne County is a good place for other people as well, and 2 of our kids have moved up here. One does quantitative analysis work for a company in Dallas for the stock market, and the other is a senior medical writer for Medtronics. And they can both live up here, they can buy houses, they can have a good life, and they can work from home. So Tuolumne County, in my view, has a lot to recommend it. But it also has some anomalies. For example, it's got the smallest number of college graduates per capita than any state in the union with the exception of West Virginia. All the South has more per capita, et cetera, et cetera. So in a lot of ways, we're behind the ball in terms of some of our education. But at the same time, there's a lot of people up here that really are qualified to do skilled work. And we've really enjoyed finding them and hiring them. The reason I came here today was because I expect to live here the rest of my life as well as some of our kids. And in looking at some of the things that have been going on around this election coming up, it's been really disturbing to me because it smacks of the old South when they would give people chicken dinners in order to get a vote their way. And we don't do that here. We're more sophisticated than that. But what has happened is this. We'll go ahead and have limits on how much we can contribute to another candidate, and I have made my own contributions to a candidate here, and I've done that in the presidential race as well. But what troubled me in looking over the money that was coming in recently is that essentially one of your members, Carl over here, has dumped out $3,600, and it's essentially destroyed the vote of some of you on the Board of Supervisors now, because that new person, if they do get elected, will be in lockstep with Carl. And I think it's legal, but it's not right.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors and chairman. My name's Don Sullivan, and I'm a pastor at the Lighthouse Ministries, which we do a pantry out of the Red Church. Not really affiliated with the Red Church. We rent that building to take care of the needy and the homeless in our community, and have been doing that for some 12 years. I'm also on the board for Teen Challenge. And that's the reason, and the real reason why I'm here this morning. Teen Challenge is here, up and moving in Tuolumne County. Not sure that everybody knows that. We've been in the process of letting the word out, and addiction and what Teen Challenge addresses is something that I think probably each and every person in this building has been affected by or touched by with addictions and the effect of addictions, whether it's alcohol or methamphetamines or drugs or even pornography, different types of addictions. Teen Challenge can address that and does address that. We're going on our 60th year of success in America as well as internationally. And the need is great here in Tuolumne County as well, So the reason I'm here is to let you know that we're having our first fundraiser this coming Saturday at 4:30 and 6:30. We're going to have two seatings for a barbecue tri-tip dinner or chicken there in Jamestown at the Old Assembly of God on 9th Street in Jamestown. At the Lighthouse Ministry, our motto is rescuing the shipwrecked and ending the cycle of poverty, which we aggressively address. And with Teen Challenge, it's reaching out and helping families reestablish themselves. So I'm hoping that each and every one of you would take an active role in supporting our Teen Challenge that is a wonderful presence here in Tuolumne County. Thank you.
Excuse me. Contact phone number that you could give?
Yes, I'm going to leave a flyer here.
Okay, but for the public, just go ahead and give us a number.
Yeah. The contact number is 985-2259. And that's there in Jamestown on 9th Street. The actual address is 10365 9th Street in Jamestown.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Gray and fellow supervisors. My name is Quincy Yaley. I'm the Assistant Director of Development at the Community Resources Agency. I'm just here to make a brief announcement that next Thursday and Friday, our development services on the 4th floor of our building will be closed to the public. Our staff will still be there. We will be working on processing a backload of building permits and other entitlements that we have here at the county. But the building department, the planning department, the housing department, and environmental health will be closed to the public. The services on our 3rd floor will be open. That includes survey, public works, roads, and our TCTC. And so if anyone has any questions about that, they can give us a call at 533-5633. We just appreciate the public's patience while we get through a backlog of building permits so we can get those issued and keep projects moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's past 15 minutes. Do you want to get consent?
Yes. Consensus to continue? Thank you.
What was that? Well, I saw the sheriff here and then he left. So they're doing a Tuolumne County Prescription Drug Take-Back Day on Saturday, October 27th from 10 to 2, so they finally have cards. And Friday night, the Center for Nonviolent Community and Women Helping Other Women is doing their Empowering Women, Strengthening Communities at the Opera Hall from 5:30 to 8:30, and everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Don Taylor from Groveland. I feel slighted in the sense that we have all of this green waste take back, but nothing for Mr. Gray's area. There's, of course, there is nothing up there that they could give, but it would be nice to, in some way, be included in something like this.
I'm not sure if we don't have a green waste facility in Groveland, but I think Mr. Stockel can look at that with solid waste, see if there's a possibility. But do understand, my district is far and wide, and there are green people in my district that will be taking it to there. And you can take it from Groveland, as I understand. Is that right? Okay.
That's good to know, but you have to drive all the way down here rather than to your office to pick up the script so that you can do that. Next thing I'd like to bring up is the gentleman that has the DNA sequencing. This is a technical type of business that we should be going out of our way to invite into this county. They bring money, they bring people with more college background, and they serve as role models for us. I would like to see the county take a greater interest in developing businesses that the kids here can gain from. That's it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, but mostly public and our senior citizens, on Saturday, the CHP and I personally am sponsoring this event. They do it rather frequently. It's called Age Well, Drive Smart. And it's a course for seniors, refreshing them in their driving laws and advice on how to deal with changing world that we live in. And it's a 3-hour course. It starts at 9 o'clock. It's at the Senior Center. There's some brochures out in the lobby area there. And it's taught by Officer Polito, and he is really good at this. And if you send in your certificate, you should pre-register if you can, but they'll give you a certificate, and you give it to your insurance company, you get a discount on your insurance. This is a good deal. I'll look forward to seeing you all at 9 o'clock on Saturday.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? All right. Would the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held October 2nd and October 5th. Adopting a resolution continuing the local state of emergency as required by California Emergency Services Act, Article 14, Section 8630C, due to pervasive tree mortality. Approving the revised hiring incentive program. Approving the updated class specification for agricultural commissioner, sealer of weights and measures, air pollution control officer, and animal control director. approving agreement for professional services with Interwest Consulting Group, Four Leaf Inc., CSG Consulting for plan review, inspection, permit processing, and co-compliance services. Adopting a resolution to approve the summary vacation of a 50-foot wide public road easement located at Old Oberns Ferry Road and Green Springs Run. Adopting a resolution rescinding Resolution 7616 and approving a renewal agreement with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for juvenile emergency housing. Adopting a resolution approving a volunteer fire assistance program agreement with CAL FIRE for the distribution of funds awarded in the Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant. Authorizing the submittal of the joint grant application with Tuolumne County Fire Department, Twain Harte Community Services District, and Sonora City Fire for the purposes of purchasing firefighter support and rehabilitation unit. Authorizing the submittal of the firefighters grant application for the purchase of a breathing support unit for rehabilitation unit. Authorizing the submittal of the assistance fire grant application with Tuolumne County Fire Department, Jamestown Fire Protection District, Groveland Community Services District for the purpose of purchasing self-contained breathing apparatus. Approving the reappointment of Allison Daniels and Jamie Tremolini and to the Housing Review Committee, and accepting the resignation of Marguerite Bolkin from the First Five Commission and directing the clerk to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy.
Board wish to pull anything from the consent calendar? Any public comment on the consent calendar? Bring it back to the board.
I'll move in favor of the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Hanveld, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Royce absent. Item 14.
Consideration of adopting a resolution proclaiming October 7th through 13, 2018 as National 4-H Week in Tuolumne County.
Hello, I'm Erica Treat. I am the new All-Star Advisor, and this is our team.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Rodriguez. I'm 17 years old. I attend Sonora High. I'm a senior this year. I've been in multiple projects throughout the years with 4-H, and it's opened me up, and it's helped me get a willingness to learn and grow and meet new people and put myself out in my community. I'd like to thank you for your support for 4-H, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Belle Bloom. I am 15 years old. This is my 7th year in 4-H and my 2nd year as a Tuolumne County All-Star. I've been involved in various projects as well as Alyssa, but being an All-Star is probably one of the most important parts in my 4-H experience. So I'd like to thank you all for your support to this community and for giving us the chances that we have today. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanner Hines, and this is my 5th year in 4-H and my 1st year as an All-Star. And I'm excited to be an All-Star this year because it's going to bring me closer to my community and help teach the youth in my community, which I love doing in my free time. 4-H has given me a lot of opportunities to strengthen my public speaking skills, as well as my self-confidence. I feel 4-H has provided these opportunities a lot, and I've taken as many as I can to strengthen myself as a human being and as a person and grow for my community. And I'd like to thank all of you for your support and continuing to support our 4-H group. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hannah Grace Finney. I'm 18 years old. I've been in 4-H for 4 years. This is my 1st year on the leadership team. I love this county, and I'm thankful to be in 4-H. They helped me to know this county and get to know it better. And so I thank you for your support for the 4-H program and all that you do. Thank you.
Okay, this is every year we do this. It's to me, it's one of the best things because these youth are fantastic. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Good job. Supervisor Hanvelt.
Mr. Chairman, you know, of all the things we do all year long, programs like this to recognize these young people and the 4-H program that brings them here is just amazing. This is a program that's clearly developing our young people and making them leaders. Young man, when he said that he developing his speaking skills, his presentation skills, and they're developing leadership skills, and he takes every advantage. This is the kind of thing that really makes a difference for our kids, and I want to congratulate 4-H for a great program. I love it when you come back every year. I hope this program goes on forever and grows. Thank you for all you do.
Supervisor Rutherford.
Yeah, don't go away. We're not
Don't
done.
leave yet.
We're not done. Okay. This, honestly, young ladies and gentlemen, this is my favorite moment of the year, every year, where we celebrate 4-H and how important that program is to us. I just want you, I'm not going to be long-winded or anything. I just want you 4 people to know and to take back to all the 4-H people that we know that you are our future. You are the county's future. You are this nation's future. And with people like you, I'm confident that our future is in good hands. And thank you very much for everything you do.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, I'm just impressed that they're on their way back to school and how responsible you guys are. It's amazing, and this program is so near and dear to my heart. But we would be remiss if we did not thank all of the parents out there that get you to meetings and get you to all of the different functions that are going on, and the leaders. Because, again, without their support, this program would not be possible. And so I am so impressed by all of you. I agree you are our future leaders, and this program is invaluable to Tuolumne County, and thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Now we're going to have any public comment? All right, looking for a motion.
So I'm going to jump on this one and move the approved attached resolution.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. Looking at the resolution, we are remiss, and I want to apologize for the board. We're a week late. This resolution is October 7th through 13th. You deserve more than that. So anyway, I apologize for being a week late. We'll make this week, at least from my perspective, 4-H week too.
I have a amendment to the motion, and let's amend the dates to this week.
Accepted.
Pardon me? That's okay. We can do in Tuolumne County what we want, right?
So I would
Okay.
amend the motion to say that we recognize October 7th, 13th as National 4-H Week, and additionally, the week of October
14th through 20th.
thank you very much, as Tuolumne County 4-H Week.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Rutherford. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Royce absent.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can go to school now. Okay, clerk, please read item 15.
Consideration of reviewing the emergency action regarding the Buchanan Road hillside slide and determining whether or not there is a need to continue the action.
Director. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have that on. Assistant CRA Director Kim McFarland. And Tanya Allen, Engineering Manager. So about 2 weeks ago, road crews received a call about a slide on Buchanan Road. They were able to remove the debris from the road, but it was obvious that another large slab was about to come down. The engineering team went out to investigate, and we called in our own geotech firm to the site. Their analysis was that the slab was okay for now, but a change in weather, specifically rain, and the slab would probably come down. So they did provide a quote for slope stabilization. That's option 1 in your memo. and it's for high-strength mesh pinned in place with rock anchors. They would provide a 5-year warranty, and the cost is about $1.1 million. This slide area is the same location where Federal Highways Administration, Federal Lands Division took the lead on design work to widen, realign, and pave Buchanan. FHWA has stated that they still have an open contract with their contractor and could do a modification to cover the repair, which is option 2 in your memo. That would be to construct a rock buttress. It is considerably cheaper. However, we would have to assume all responsibility upon completion. We are in talks with FHWA and have asked them to provide a 1-year warranty, and we don't have an agreement on that yet. So right now we're investigating options. We're doing what we can to make the roads safe, but acting quickly to get a repair completed before the end of the year. Do you have anything else to add, Tanya?
I think it's more of discussion here with you guys first, and then looking if there's any other options of doing a dual construction between both.
I drove through there the other day, and obviously I'm not an engineer, not an expert, built a few roads, things like that, but was any consideration making drilling and piecing that rock out of there versus trying to attach it to the I know it's all decomposed granite, and it's a big granite slab that's split, but it seems that is there some other type of engineering or look at that we could do other than what we're proposing? Yeah. I'm talking about drilling and shoot, and quietly shooting, not expanding the rock and taking it out in pieces. I don't know. It just seems like $2 million for a rock is a lot of money.
I think what you're looking at, $2 million is not just for the rock that's in concern, that's kind of wedged in between the clay soils that has fissures behind it. What we're looking at is the actual failure of the slope even above that, and looking at the whole integrity of that whole hillside. So what you're looking at, the 1.1 in here, is to do a pin mesh to be able to hold back any other soils that tend to, or rocks that would be coming down over time. So it's not the immediate concern, which is the rock. Yes, you could break the rock up, remove the debris, but then now all of a sudden you have an open slope too.
Okay, and we've had discussion with U.S. Forest Service. How is that going as far as any going back to the contractor that did the work there?
So that's FHWA, and they're the ones that did the work, and yes, they're going back to their contractor. They could possibly have a contract modification, but that is the only option that they're offering, is the rock buttress right now at this time.
Okay.
And I think one thing to note, FHWA doesn't warranty their work, and so this is where the county is concerned, because over the next seasons, if we have any type of storm damage, we are not in a position where we could really attack those. So we either attack it now, or we'll need more time and close the road potentially.
Where do we need to apply pressure to get a correct answer instead of this kind of stuff?
Well, we brought that subject up, this morning in the phone call, and the manager is going to go back and talk to her higher ups to see if at least we can get that warranty.
Manager, FHWA?
Yes, sir. The project manager from FHWA.
Okay.
Anyway, we explained that if we can't get something that's acceptable, to staff, like if we were running a project ourselves, we'd have warranties for this kind of stuff. We don't have that. They funded the project, they led the project, and so we're just looking for that. And at minimum, we're looking for at least that 1 year, warranty of this work. There's science and art to it. It's a little combination of it, as we were talking about. There's all kinds of things that come into play in the design of these things. But anyway, we're pursuing that. We've mentioned that if we, don't get a good answer, that the board has always let us know, when we need your involvement, and that you would likely want to be involved. But right now, they're trying to get us that warranty.
The problem, as I see it, is we're running out of time.
Right.
Weather comes, and then you start losing control of your ability to deal with the problem. Urgency is the word that they don't seem to understand. This happens a lot, and I'm suggesting that maybe we need a little congressional and senatorial nudge.
Well, she said she would try to get us an answer back today.
Okay, I'll keep my powder dry.
Yeah. So
but
no,
only for today.
Yeah, they understand the timing. But we said it again for them to understand how important it is, because we can't let that slope stay exposed like it is right now. That's unacceptable. We have to do something and do it quickly. And we did talk about just the logistics, which I don't know if you want to get all of that, right here. But just about any other thing that we do also takes a lot of time, to investigate, get things into place. And they also have a limited window when they have the funds and the contractor available to get on it. So we're trying to work this thing out. But we feel that if we can at least get that 1-year warranty, we feel that's adequate.
Just a question. So let's say we go with option 2, and then the worst thing happens, and the rains come, and option 2 doesn't hold, and it takes the road out. Who's going to be responsible for repairing that?
Right now, we would be, and that's why we're in talks with them, because we want an insurance for at least a year, and Tanya's even asked for 2 seasons, 2 winters.
Okay.
That's what she's going back to her higher-ups to ask for permission, because we don't normally do it.
Okay. I will allow, since he spoke first, I will allow Supervisor Henvelt to jump first, but I'm going to jump right after him if we can't get a warranty on that.
Jerry?
Yeah, I think you'll have 5 individuals jump very quickly, because we all know that road's important for a whole lot of reasons, and the resource values that are out there. And I would think that with its proximity to Cherry, and again, that the federal government should understand how important this is. And Tanya, I'm with you. We need 2 years, because there's a lot of slopes out there, and I too have been by there a number of times in the last week, and it's we need that 2-year guarantee. So I think we need to be really pushing for that, and I appreciate that you're doing that 2 seasons, because it's really not 2 years. It would be 2 winter seasons. So I hope that they're going to be reviewing the video of this meeting and understand how important this is to Tuolumne County, and how cohesive this body is in reaching out and going up the ladder higher.
Yeah, we did rehearse with them all the various reasons why that road is so important. It's not just because of the county itself and interest in a road. All those values, and I can fill in the blanks as well as you guys can. And I think we've filled all those blanks in. And I think the project manager understands that, but we were saying if it would be helpful, we can get on the phone with whoever she's talking to reinforce those values before they make their decisions. So let's see what happens.
Mr. Chairman, one more concern. I guess my reaction to this thing is if you don't get the right responses and we can't move forward, the next Board of Supervisors meeting is November 6th. Okay, and I don't want to wait that long before we jump in. So I'm going to be talking to you every day until I know we got a solution, Kim. I know you're working hard on it, and I appreciate what the staff's doing, but the performance by FHWA is unacceptable.
So what we're looking at, direction is to a 4/5 vote required for continuation. That's what you're asking for. Any public comment? Duke, did you have something that you wanted to add?
I was going to address the issue, but Sherry brought it up, and that's the importance of all the resources that we have out there, both recreational. We got large block of SBI land, logging interests. We have cattle. We have everything out there, and water resources that we bottle water and things. So there's a lot at stake in the importance of the road. In the forest system, this is called a primary forest route, number 14. Everybody calls it Cottonwood, but it's a very key route into the forest. and it also benefits Hetch Hetchy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so any more public comment? Seeing none, bring back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick one. Since it does benefit Hetch Hetchy, if we need to mobilize political resources, let's engage them as well on our behalf.
Understood. We're trying to give them a chance to do the right thing, staff, but otherwise we told them we may take further action. And
Understand.
We're trying to work it out.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and move on the staff recommendation to continue action. Do you need any specific on that?
Second.
I think so. Randy, you were the second. Okay. Motion by Supervisor Rutherford, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you.
Just want to add my voice thanking Kim and Tanya and others, for their work on this.
Yeah, we just need another project, don't we? Yeah. Just to get. We can't get enough of those. Okay, clerk, please read item 16.
This is a presentation and update on activities related to Tuolumne County Master Stewardship Agreement.
Okay, thank you all for bearing with us here. Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I have with me Patrick Copel, who's the Executive Director of Tuolumne River Trust, and Nathan Gravlin, who is the current Chair of YSS, Yosemite Stanislaus Solutions. We are here today to give your board an update on the actions that we have taken related to the Master Stewardship Agreement that your board signed in December of 2017. Okay, so I will go over some review and So in December 2017, your board signed the Master Stewardship Agreement with the Forest Service, and that was on behalf of the Yosemite Stanislaus Solutions Collaborative. The purpose of the MSA is to give the county authority to conduct mutually beneficial treatments on the Stanislaus National Forest in coordination with the Forest Service. And again, just by way of reminder, per the requirement of the MSA, the county is obligated to contribute 20% of the funding for those treatments, at least 20%, I should say, with 80% coming from the Forest Service. All projects that are completed under the MSA are intended to be in addition to what the Forest Service normally does with their typical program of work or with their plan, I suppose, for their program of work. And then the goal of the MSA, again, by way of reminder, is to increase the pace and scale of forest treatments to make the forest healthier and more resilient to fire. When your board approved the MSA, just again by way of reminder, you also approved the letter of understanding with YSS. And in that letter of understanding, it states that projects that have received consensus agreement from YSS are the only ones that will be implemented through the county's MSA. YSS has appointed a SPA subcommittee, and they work together to identify the specific projects that they would like to propose to the county. Then we meet with the Natural Resource Committee and talk about those projects, and then we meet with the Forest Service to make sure that we're all in agreement that these are all mutually priority projects, and then that's what we implement. And then in addition, the county has subcontracted with Tuolumne River Trust to provide project management for all of the projects. The specific projects are implemented through supplemental project agreements, or SPAs, and those SPAs detail the locations, the actions, and the costs of the particular treatments. In June of this last year, in 2018, your board approved the first Forest and Watershed Resilience SPA. So that's just by way of background, just to remind us all of where we've been. There's been a lot of moving parts in the last, 11 months or so, 10 months. And so, just getting us all here on the same page. So in talking about the Forest and Watershed Resilience SPA, I want to draw your attention to currently there are two projects that we are undergoing in that SPA. There's first the Looney Stewardship Project, and this is kind of what we termed as Phase 1. And this is 994 acres of design and prep work for a timber sale. Ultimately, as I mentioned, it's a 994-acre timber sale, commercial timber sale. Then the second project that we have added to that, or modified the SPA to be able to add an additional project, is the 2-mile fuel reduction project, and that's 318 acres of mastication, or mechanical shredding. The funding from these projects has come from the U.S. Forest Service. In total, $355,000 has come from the Stanislaus National Forest, and $60,000 has come from the regional office, Region 5 office from the Forest Service. And I just want to pause here and mention that one of the great things about an MSA is the ability to obligate funds and to keep them on this Stanislaus National Forest. As we all know, we've had a pretty rough fire season this year, and as a result, there was money left over from kind of the forest's normal program of work that they weren't able to complete, and so they were able to obligate it into this master stewardship agreement so that the work could remain on this Stanislaus National Forest, which is unusual, and it's a great thing. And I understand Brian McCrory from the Stanislaus National Forest is here, and he could speak more to that too. Here, you can come up here. Anyway, so that's kind of the basics of the projects. I'm going to let Patrick speak to the specifics of where we're at with the projects, and he has been running, as I mentioned, the project management, and he has been doing overseeing the inspections with the assistance of Brian. So here's Patrick.
Great, thank you. So as Liz mentioned, the Looney project was awarded in late August, early September, to California Reforestation, Inc., and they've been out doing the cruise, and they've completed that. We got out and checked out what they're up to, and kind of working around through the brush quite a bit, beating their way through stuff, and of course discussing the different aspects of what goes into their count and what stays out of their count. but they've been making good progress, and they've pretty well wrapped up the cruise portion of their work, and they're now out doing the boundary designation, which should be wrapped up here, I think, late October, early November. Work continues on that. And just to make sure that we got this in, shows the location of the Looney is in yellow, and then the 2 mile is in green there. The 2 mile, do you want me to go on to 2 mile? Yeah, sure. So, by the way, Liz has been fantastic to work with, and I really appreciate everything that she's been doing, keeping things really moving along. It's been great. She published the RFP on that 2 mile in mid-September, got 3 bids on that, worked with folks from YSS, myself included, to review the bids, and ultimately selected the Woolery Timber Management. They're based out of Tuolumne, and they should be doing their work starting hopefully this winter and completing it maybe next summer. So that'll be moving forward. So things are really progressing on the ground, which is great to see. Should I continue on? You want to? I'll just pause there if there's any questions so far. Okay. So moving on then. Oh, Brian.
I think I'll just add that for the Forest Service, at least, getting these projects out through the county's contracting process, has been amazing. It could take us up to 3 or 4 months to get a mastication contract through our acquisitions department. So I think the real benefit to me, and what I've been trying to stress to everybody on the forest, is that we've been able to get something turned around in like a matter of a week or 2 weeks. That thanks to Liz getting the RFP out, and it's been a real surprise to us to how quickly we've been able to get things out and going. So,
smaller the government, the faster it moves.
Exactly. Yeah. And especially with our acquisitions, when we have one central acquisitions department, and so it can take months, and having, of course, things fire acquisitions and things being priority. So this is getting work done on the ground a lot faster than we'd be able to.
Great.
And then our funds being able to be, at a week's notice, when excess funds are available to put into the MSA, where normally those would go back to Treasury. So it has helped being able to utilize any excess funds we have on the forest, because again, we wouldn't be able to put that into an acquisition because it would take too long. So being able to put it into the MSA is worked out very well so far.
Great.
So moving on to the next section there, grant awards and additional projects. We did submit a CAL FIRE grant last spring, and ultimately the proposal was $14 million. We were awarded $5 million, which we're grateful for. We think we obviously have a lot more work to do than $5 million worth, but we're going to put it to good use. YSS weighed in. CAL FIRE let us step back and take a look at what we wanted to implement out of the range of projects we submitted. And we had a YSS meeting in August and had a very useful meeting, good discussion, and we whittled it down to the granite, commercial and non-commercial thin, about 2,400 acres, granite reforestation, up to 500 acres, and you'll see it says up to. I'll explain that in a minute. Prep work for prescribed fire at the Strawberry and Phase 2 projects, and this map shows you the locations of these different projects. The granite projects down in the Cherry Lake area, and then the others are up closer to Pinecrest and Strawberry. And then also included in the batch was LIDAR. I think a number of us were kind of a little bit unsure of what benefit LIDAR would provide. This is where the YSS meeting really helped out a lot. We had a great presentation from Scott Conway of the Forest Service Remote Sensing Lab. Kind of knocked our socks off, and at that point we were all fully behind getting the LIDAR. So YSS was supportive of acquiring LIDAR. When we were looking at the budget, we were kind of going on the assumption of maybe about $1 an acre, but we didn't actually have any estimates. So that's where we put we wanted the ability to have some flexibility in moving money around. That's why we have up to 500 acres and up to 3,700 acres in case the LiDAR costs come down. And lo and behold, they did come down. Liz, again, quickly got out an RFP for LiDAR acquisition, and YSS was able to take a look at some of those estimates, as well as Scott Conway with the Forest Service, and we selected a firm that was quite a bit less expensive, DMI out of Huntington Beach. We're looking at about 32 cents an acre instead of the $1. So we're going to be quite a bit less. We can hopefully move some of that extra money over to the reforestation or the prescribed fire or some of the other projects.
For the public, could you explain what the benefit of the LiDAR?
Yeah, so LiDAR is, and I'm not an expert in this, so if anybody else wants to speak up.
We're not either.
It uses airborne laser. They fly over. They get detailed information about forest structure and feed that into this massive database, and they can really analyze what the existing conditions are out there. So it'll really let us more quickly hone in on areas that need treatment over a large area. So that's the thing, is we're talking about 1.4 million acres here. It's hard to, if you're doing it the old-fashioned way, and Brian would be able to speak to this, you have to get out there and really look at things on the ground. This gives you a quicker look across this vast landscape. I don't know, Ryder?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Scott really struck me is, being able to look at and verify 1,000 acres a day rather than, if you were doing it all on the ground, only being able to visit, 100 acres a day of, if you're proposing a treatment, using that LiDAR data, it basically gives us an accurate measurement of tree size, vegetation type, canopy cover, everything we need to elevate our pace and scale for planning, for our NEPA analysis, and for preparation of projects. It's really going to excel things like it has on other forests in the region.
I'd like to add to that. That presentation was absolutely phenomenal. The guy who gave the presentation, they collect 10,000 pieces of data per square meter. You just think about that. And this is high tech. It eliminates a lot of the cost of manpower trying to do this, and can't do it as thoroughly or as efficiently or as consistently. And the really neat thing about this is we're doing the whole county. Now, so we got a master stewardship agreement. That's with the U.S. Forest Service. Why are we doing the whole county? Because this sets up our private landowners and our fire safe councils to do work inside the county that supplements everything else we're doing. This is just amazing, the value we're going to get out of this. Anybody in the county can use this data to further the program to help us achieve fire resiliency throughout the county, not just on the national forest. This is amazing.
It's very simplistic and very unscientific, but the basic explanation of LiDAR is it's three-dimensional laser mapping. So it basically three-dimensionally maps the area with a laser.
Exactly.
And I think it's important to note that with the efficiency of this team and the way that they're working together, when we put the initial proposal in, we were talking about the Stanislaus Forest. We came in with a less expensive alternative, and we are doing, I don't know if it's double the land base, but again, including all of the SRA land and looking at the entire Stanislaus National Forest. And so a job well done. I was one of the skeptics initially on the LiDAR piece, and I just have to say, job well done, because this information is going to be so beneficial to the county. I've already had the Fire Safe Council reach out, and they can't wait to get their hands on this. So,
and I will say, too, because originally we had opted for only the Stanislaus National Forest within Tuolumne County, which is the MSA boundary. Supervisor Kuiken had requested that we, if possible, that we extend the boundary of the LiDAR to the whole Stanislaus National Forest. So that includes the parts in Mariposa, Calaveras, and Alpine. And I have spoken to the CAL FIRE MMU, and that's the Mariposa Merced Madera unit. And they are very excited just about having the data, even just the forested data over in Mariposa to use for their own kind of fuel break work. And so, yeah, it's going to be extremely beneficial for a lot of reasons.
So with LiDAR, of course, what we want to do with that is build a plan for the future. We have a set of projects right now that we're working on. We want to get the next set ginned up, and we'll be using LiDAR for that. And YSS will also come into play heavily in this. And maybe, Nathan, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we'll be meeting with our leadership team next week to discuss how we move forward with this. This entire MSA, the SPAs, this whole process is moving much faster than any of the other examples that we had. And so we're going to have to kind of figure out how do we coordinate YSS, the county, the Forest Service, to keep things moving at the speed they are. Our pattern prior to this MSA was quite a bit slower when you took out the Forest Service and the county, and we weren't accomplishing very much in a timely manner. And so we're sorting out how do we move forward to keep this ball rolling as quickly as we can.
So just to mention, there has been great YSS participation so far in reviewing proposals, helping out with inspections out at Looney, and I'm guessing as well we'll do that at 2 Mile, reviewing the LiDAR proposals. And I think we're really going to be talking about next steps and long-range planning and making sure that we can, as Nathan said, keep things moving forward.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one more thing I just want to mention. SB 901, which was just approved by the governor, has a lot of great things that are going to be helpful for us. 2 pieces in particular I want to mention. It set aside $200 million per year for the next 5 years of the California Climate Investment Funds, which is where we got the $5 million from in the first place. So we plan to, over the next 5 years, be applying for more grants and hopefully seeing more money and more work on the ground. With the goal, of course, long term to make the MSA something that sort of pays for itself, with some commercial activity, then that can go to the ground for other projects that maybe don't have a value that actually cost money to implement. So that's the first piece, is the funding availability. And the second thing I want to let you know that in SB 901, I understand we have a few folks to thank for that, Sierra Nevada Conservancy being one of them. It exempts CEQA on federal lands for projects that are being completed by local agencies under a master stewardship agreement for fire resilience purposes. So that's thinning prescribed fire and fuels reduction projects. And so that's a great thing because it's state money. Typically we would be required to do CEQA, but as long as the NEPA has been done, we won't have to do CEQA, which is will help streamline even more.
Save a lot of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hanville.
I want to congratulate this team in YSS, Patrick specifically, because I know he personally has put in a lot of effort, and Liz is amazing, and the partnership with the U.S. Forest Service. The world is watching Tuolumne County again, because we're leading. People are constantly saying, what are you doing? How are you making this happen? Because they're all talking about it. Coconino County, Arizona came and spent some time with us, wanting to know what we are doing and how we're doing it. Their situation is completely different. Every situation is quite unique, but our team is driving forward, making it happen. They're moving on multiple fronts, and Liz mentioned we got $5 million. I have reminded the U.S. Forest Service in Region 5 that's $5 million is 20%. They owe us $20 million to keep going, and I have reiterated that at everybody at the high level in the Forest Service that I can to make sure that they keep the pressure on. But being ready, we got this money she mentioned. That is going to be a continuing thing. We're making it happen. We've got a great partnership with the Forest Service, and please tell Jason I said that we appreciate his leadership. And we literally took everything the Forest Service had that was NEPA ready to move forward on this. I'm a little worried that things are going to slow down, but we're going to take this and use it as the springboard to drive forward. And I'm just thrilled with the the cooperation and the excitement that this team has generated in this. And I just want to say congratulations to all of you. I'm very proud of you, and I'm proud of this board for taking the leap of faith and doing something different than anybody else has done anywhere to drive this forward. This is opportunity. This is already creating jobs in our county, and I think this is a real landmark thing for the state of California and how to make things happen.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Along with the money, the SB 901 money, we also need to keep our eyes on, and I know this team is the prop, was it 60 or 61 money last June, and then also the Merrill bond that will be coming up. And I know there's an additional $30 million just for the Sierra Nevadas, and the Wildlife Conservation Board has another very large piece on that. I know the team is watching that, but we need to be front and center on that. And I went to a Southern Sierra leadership. I was invited to a Southern Sierra leadership meeting a couple of weeks ago with the Stanislaus Sequoia and Sierra Forest and the 3 national parks and a number of the state agencies. And it was a conversation to get groups to start thinking about how we are strategic. And a number of times in that conversation, it was very gratifying. They pointed to the Stanislaus Forest in Tuolumne County. And they said, this is how you do it. This is how you pull a team together. This is how you make a strategic plan. And so we don't have to go out of state to see people saying, this is the model. And the other counties and forests were asking me, how do we start structuring that? And I know Liz has had some inquiries. But we've got to be strategic in our planning. The agencies are going to demand it, and this effort is going to get us there because it's going to build the roadmap that makes us competitive and strategic in bringing those resources to Stanislaus Forest, Tuolumne County, and our neighboring counties. So job well done, but we got to keep our eye on the ball because it's going to move quickly, and we want to be at the front of the line.
Okay.
And I just wanted to also mention we really do need to, as we're looking forward, think about the SRA lands. I think that'll be an important piece in all of this, and working with private landowners and identifying how they fit into the whole puzzle. And I did want to thank the board for the support, Supervisor Hanvelt, Supervisor Brennan. Been wonderful to have your support and leadership as well.
Well, obviously, job well done, and thank you. So, any public comment?
Just something, Anaya Kirk, something that came to mind. With the LIDAR and with all this project happening, is there any way to propose projects, first and foremost, on public safety, for like fire breaks, the flume coming out of Lyons? Is there any way to make sure that those are maybe addressed first up front?
Yeah, so the MSA is specifically for federal forests. So, yeah, but as far as being strategic on maybe those federal lands or allowing folks like the Fire Safe Councils or TUD to utilize the data for their own strategic planning purposes, absolutely. I mean, as much as we can work together to be strategic, yeah. Okay. As far as the MSA and the money that we're using there is on federal land, but it's a great point.
Okay. Any other public comment? Thank you. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Okay, would the clerk please read our first closed session item?
Do you want me to read all of them or just the one that we're talking about?
Just the one that we're going to be doing now.
Okay. That will be item number 23, and that is public closed session in conference with legal counsel, existing litigation authority, government code section 549.569D. 1, Federal Energy Regulation Commission proceeding, Don Pedro Hydroelectric Project number 2299-082, Modesto Irrigation District and Turlock Irrigation District. And item, I want to mention that number 22 has been pulled off.
Okay. Do we expect to report anything out of closed session? Any public comment on the closed session item? All right, we're going to go into closed session, and we'll be back. All right, going to call the Board of Supervisors meeting back to order. We return from closed session. We have nothing to report. Would clerk please read item 17? Is that where we're at?
Yep. It's a presentation and staff direction on the Tuolumne County phone policy.
Daniel Richardson, Deputy County Administrator. Before you, we also have Bob Chapman, your IT manager, as he's putting up your new phones you're going to get soon. So the county right now is engaged in overhauling its county IT network. This is going to be followed by installation of a new internet protocol MyTel phone system. The phone system will be installed starting March. That allows us time to finish the network upgrades. Currently, we're doing about one county location a week in upgrading its network. We have about 4 or 5 locations that are complete, about 25 more to go. So it's ongoing. Our goal today is to discuss some phone policy with the board. We took phone policy to the Board of Supervisors about 20 years ago. Craig did this, Mr. Pedro, when he was overseeing IT, and the board had this similar discussion. Of course, much has changed in phone technology over the years, and so we have some new features that are now available. The question is, do we want to use them, and if so, how do we want to use them? And so we're seeking your advice. We did take this up with the department heads, and they discussed and gave us their advice on which features they felt would be useful and what protections do we need to have to make sure they're used appropriately. So just to start off with, we'll go with E911. We'll start with safety first. When someone calls the dispatch at this time, there's just a location of 2 South Green Street, and they may be calling from the Tuolumne County Library. And so with this new phone system, we're going to fix that. And so the question is, how granular do we want to be with our location when someone calls? Do we want to have it at the building level, at the department level, or at the actual physical office cubicle level? And the department heads felt like it would be appropriate to have it at the department, which would kind of give you the floor, the general location, so when the first responders arrive, they would know generally where to go. They felt that if it was granular to the cubicle level, people move so often, it would be administratively more challenging to make that happen. So first policy item for you to your thoughts.
I'm thinking that's a good idea, what they've come up with.
I don't know how often it comes up, but, I think that this is flexible enough that, if we found something needed to change, we can adjust it later. I think what you're proposing is probably okay.
Okay.
I agree.
Good. Well, by the way, as you see, we have the new phones there. They are touchscreen phones. They're the newest.
Can we turn them on?
They're not plugged in right now. So yours is blank at the moment, but they will improve when we light them up. So let me go through these features. Kind of, I have Bob Chapman will kind of describe to you what they are. So the first, auto attendant. This is the equivalent of your phone tree. When someone answers, it goes into, we call it auto attendant, and someone not a live human being, but the phone tree person answers the phone, and you say, where do you want to go? Depending on which division, you press a number, and it will feed you into the right location, and then a live human employee would answer the phone eventually and get you the information that you need. Right now, your board's policy, when you said it 20 years ago, was we wanted a live human being to answer the phone. Some departments are currently using that auto attendant when you call them, and it does funnel you to the appropriate division. The department heads felt like, for efficiency, do allow this at times, but strive to answer it with an employee. Your thoughts on auto attendant use?
I always like the live person whenever possible. I know that I've had some comments about CRA and with the old phone system, getting to the right person. If you don't know the name of the person, it's been difficult. So with the option, live person first option with the phone tree if necessary.
Okay.
We worked real hard to get talking to the departments about setting up the phone tree, but setting it up in a way that we're using terminology that the folks that are calling are using and not our terminology. Because you tend to get lost in those menus if you don't know what they're speaking about. So we want to make it very plain and very simple so that people can get to the right location.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to phone twinning. Want to describe this, Bob, real quick?
Yeah, phone twinning is the ability to take your smartphone and pair it with your desk phone, so you can receive calls when you're away from your office, and still act accordingly. With transferring calls, will work with that works with the application, but it pretty much just allows you to use your cell phone has your desk phone while you're out and about. You could take a call if you were on the move. You could take a call to go. Transfer it over to your cell phone and walk away from your office. Similarly, you're on your way into the office, you can take a call and then transfer it over to your phone. It just allows you to get a little bit more portability and connectivity.
So in terms of the department heads, there are some overtime FLSA type issues that come with this, because we want to make sure that exempt employees versus non-exempt employees, who gets to use this feature. And the department head said, allow for some exempt employees with department head approval. And then I've also had phone calls with the Human Services Agency, and Connolly's here. I also spoke with the sheriff, that they do have some need for non-exempt employees to use this feature when they are on calls. Their office is, many times, it's not here. It's on the run.
What are they doing now?
What do they do? They have a cell phone. It's not, and sometimes it's a county-issued cell phone. Sometimes it's their personal when they're on making a visit, a home visit, or they're on the beat.
I think it should be up to the department head to make that decision. I can see an advantage for the non-exempt employees. I could always call Tracy. But the way it works now, calling in here to pick up the messages is somewhat cumbersome at times. But again, sometimes we get in a problem where we have to turn ourselves off. So how are we going to approach that? It's something that we can do. We can hook up or we can unhook. We can make that choice anytime.
Yes.
I think in the policies we can talk about some of the stuff, because something that Daniel said is important, because those folks are on call. But if someone's just taking it home and they get a phone call, then where does things like overtime and stuff like that come into play? So we want to be very careful.
We don't want to do that
about that.
And that's what my concern would have been right there, Craig, is people picking up just because they're good employees, and yet we need to be very conscious of that. So managers are going to have to really be monitoring that piece on who is and who isn't.
Supervisor Gray, if I may just comment, I think it would be wise to have a countywide policy with some specifics to allow department heads to make decisions, but within some guidelines, because we know that we will end up creating an FLSA issue, and we need to be really mindful about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would agree with that.
That enough direction?
Yep. Thank you. The next one kind of builds on that. It's the same thing, allowing you're on your smartphone, and this is an application. You want to describe this one, Bob?
Yeah, this actually extends your desktop all the way to your cell phone. You could transfer calls 4-digit. When you make a call to another location, if you're calling from the app, the appearance is not from your cell phone; it's from your desktop phone. So that's the caller ID that it'll get. It'll interact much more easily with the back end system to be able to use all the features of the local phone system on your cell phone.
It's about a $60 cost. And anyway, it's just, once again, the department head said, at their discretion, allow for some exempt and some non-exempt employees in HSA and in the sheriff's office. we'd have to once again monitor it.
Makes sense. You look like you're puzzled.
I'm just not sure how much value that really has.
Well, I think it's one of those that we leave it up to the department head to see if there is a value in there.
Yeah, the other thing it says in here is that if someone's going to use it, if they've been required to do it, then the county will pay for that. It's not a huge cost. If it's not required, then the county will not pay for that.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll just skip over that.
Just to comment, one more comment on that. I think I might do a limited test on that with people that felt they had a high need and see if it really has value. I just don't think, I don't know how much value it has. I mean, I don't have that capability now, but I just take notes and I forward things and off of my smartphone, and I think we can all do that. I don't know whether my question is, does it really add value? In some capacities, it might.
I believe the feature that they really like having on there is the fact that you can call somebody and not give away your personal cell phone number. That seems to be the most enticing part of that. But
yeah, well, in my case, I give it to everybody.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think the staff wants
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
All right, so the next item is, once again, it's the expense of the app, the $60 expense, and then any data that's associated with that. Who pays for it? If we require it, does the county pay for it? Once again, the department head said, it depends on if we say you must have it or not. If it's just a nicety, then I guess the employer would pay.
That would make sense. Makes sense, you guys? Makes sense to me. I guess that's good enough.
Well, you can see we're putting a lot on the department heads are saying, we know the needs of the department, we know the employees and what they're doing, and allow them to exercise that judgment.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is hot desking.
Yeah, this is a nice feature that doesn't really have any policy requirements tied to it. It's more of a I see it utilized mostly where there's shift work. First shift person comes in, they'll log into their phone, they'll use their phone with their number and their voicemail on it, and till the end of the day they log out, second shift comes in and logs in, and they have their own phone and their own voicemail and can utilize the equipment that way. I think it's just a great feature to have, and we have it available to us, and it should be utilized in some departments.
I can see where that would, especially in the sheriff's department, would make a big difference.
Yeah, patrol would really be able to use that.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is just letting you know we can have hours of operation for certain features. We can turn them on and off, such as auto attendant, phone twinning, and we just said, allow for this to be used with, once again, department head discretion. Okay.
Yeah, same answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great feature, and that way you can eliminate, say, we don't want anybody else to use this feature after this hour. It's after business hours.
Okay.
Okay, next one, voicemail to email. This is one we've talked about for a long time. So you'll get an email when you get voicemail, and you can click on a link or a file, and it will play your voicemail on your email.
From the smartphone.
Or on your desk phone.
On my desk phone.
Yes, from your desk phone.
Okay.
So, the concerns were public records, making sure that people didn't, forward voicemails to those who don't have a need to know. So when you're talking about, protected information, health information, we also talked about the, storage capacity, making sure that we're not overwhelming the system and doing things that could get us into trouble. So we just need to be cognizant of those.
And to Sarah's point, that's where we're going to have to come up with some administrative policies to go with that, so that we control this properly.
Okay.
All right, e-fax. We want to get rid of all physical fax machines and replace them with e-faxing, so you can get your faxes on your desktop. So you only print out the things that you really need. You can read them and discard them or deal with them appropriately. So. And once again, public records, protected information, health information. Those are just the concerns. Phone recording. So we do have the ability to record phone conversations if you push a button. We had this discussion, and we decided this would be only appropriate for law enforcement purposes.
Or for perhaps people to put in the right kind of introduction for it. No?
I think that just is setting people up to inadvertently commit a crime because it's unlawful to tape record people without their permission. So I just think it's not a good idea.
Right. Very good.
That's the policy. When in doubt, call Sarah.
All right, intercom. The department thought this was a great thing. They could create broadcast zones where certain people could be, the department head speaks and every year, there's something going on, you should be aware. It's just a feature that we would have to create certain zones where certain people will be able to hear via this intercom feature. E9, we already talked about E911, that was the last one. So these are by far not all of the features. I'm sure there will be more that we will learn as we go along. But obviously, we're opening ourselves up. This is great. We can be more available to the public. It's more efficient for us in IT to manage the phone system, for departments to determine who gets what, when. But we need to come up with some guidelines that are very specific so the department heads understand if you allow this to happen, these are the potential consequences if it's not managed properly. Because we can get the county into trouble if the wrong person has access to things at the wrong times.
So,
go ahead.
I just know that you're going to be working very closely with county council on this because that would be my cautionary note is that we need to be sure that we have policies in place I see a number of these items that really give some very, very strict guidelines and sideboards so that we are not getting into an area where we're going to inadvertently either put ourselves at risk or put employees at risk. I'm going to be looking for that coordination.
Looking at the blank screen here, and you're saying it's touch screen. Is it also voice activated? Can we tell it to call a number? Is that a feature on there?
I don't believe it is, but you can poke. You can use the directory.
Either the screen or the buttons.
Yeah.
Okay.
The speaker phones are very, very good. Very, very good quality. So conferencing becomes a lot more clear as you work.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Pedro?
Well, the only other comment I mentioned with the department made mention of this with the department heads. It seems like it was yesterday when we set up our cell phone policy for stipends and those kinds of things. Well, that was forever ago, and we're going to, because of this, it's time to look at that again because I think this, as the technology evolves, we're going to have to revisit that. Because it's just becoming so much more an everyday part of our tool set, for our employees on when you use a county-only phone versus their own phone, and if they use their own phone, what is an appropriate stipend, for doing that, et cetera. So just to say that it'll cause us to go back and revisit that policy as well.
Okay. Any public comment? You've been waiting all day for this.
You better believe it. Good morning, Chairman Gray, members of the board. Ann Connolly, Human Services Agency Director, and thank you. I appreciate the comments by the board members regarding allowing the flexibility for department heads to determine who should have access to these various features. Obviously, as a department head, I'm very conscious of adhering to FLSA, and also am very conscious of the fact that in 24/7 departments, which we have a number of them, that people need to really have that delineation between work and their personal time, and that we at times are going to have to set that for employees. And I think through various policies, we're able to do that. I do want to mention on the auto attendant that the only department within Human Services that we currently use the auto attendant on is Department of Social Services. We had, and we just did a quick count, we had about 19,000 in-person transactions. That's a duplicated count in the past year, and over 8,500 phone calls just to our primary number that does not include protective services. While we have 2 individuals answering phones, people will get the auto attendant, and then basically what I have in talking with our deputy director, most people who have current cases, Medi-Cal, CalFresh, they actually typically just go to 0 and want to talk with a person. The difficulty is that we also take calls on that number for reports of abuse or neglect. So with our auto attendant, where we're going to be working with the vendor, the intent is to have basically 3 options. You either are making a report of abuse or neglect, you need information on your eligibility case, or you need a different language. So we're really trying to minimize it to make it very user-friendly. But we do, just to inform the board, we do have 2 people during business hours just on our main eligibility number answering the phone. But unfortunately, we have more phone calls, or sometimes the phone calls last a little longer. And we do have a separate number for reports of abuse, child abuse or neglect, but sometimes people call that main number. They're looking for in-home supportive services. They're looking for all sorts of information, and it takes some time to talk with the customer. But I really appreciate what the board's policy is about gold standard service. Obviously, with those kind of statistics, you can see we're managing a lot of people with a limited number of staff. So we will always strive to make sure that the public gets our undivided attention when they have an issue, because if they're calling social services or behavioral health, typically they're calling because they have a grave concern or they're in crisis. So we're very cognizant of that. So I really appreciate the board's flexibility with child welfare, with behavioral health workers. We have many people working out in the field. It's nice to be able to have some capacity for them to be in contact with us through cell phones. And most of them have been issued in protective services. All of them have been issued a county cell phone, and they utilize it constantly because our work doesn't occur 8 to 5 behind, the office doors. It occurs out in the field with families in need. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? Do you have enough direction to move forward?
Yes, we'll be writing a policy, and we'll be working with county council and human resources as well.
And we'll have the phones installed in here next week. Right?
Is March next week? We're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Clerk, please read item 18.
Consideration of rescinding approval of a contract award to George Reed Inc. and Kimley Horn and Associates for the taxi line reconstruction and rehabilitation at Columbia Airport, and approve contracts with each in the increased amounts to accommodate additional work after receiving additional grant funding.
Benny.
Good morning. Benny Stuth, Toronto County Airports. So this item is being brought to you just to really kind of tie everything together and make things a lot cleaner for us. If you'll remember, on July 3rd, we got our original approval for the project and accepting the bids. Then later on July 17th, we accepted additional funding from the FAA and updated the resolution to do so. What we didn't do was update our ability to award the extra monies to George Reed and Kimley Horn in the amount that the FAA had increased by. So we're bringing this back to you for approval rather than entering lengthy and complex amendments. It's a lot cleaner this way. And just as a reminder, the board has already approved the plans and specs that have accepted the grant monies and the bid. This action merely brings it all together and will allow us to issue the notice to proceed for the project.
So, question, when are we going to get started?
Today, if you say yes. No, we have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for Thursday of this week, and we're looking to issue the notice to proceed on that same day and get construction started next week on alternative 3. The more complex portions of the project are going to slip out of this construction year into the next construction window. So the bulk of the project will be starting in the late spring, early summer, as soon as the winter subsides and allows us to do so.
Okay. Speedro.
I was just going to mention that latter part, where some things may get delayed into the next season. There could be some small increases in cost to us for that, for that delay, but necessarily so because of the season. But we don't think it'll be too much. But we can address that in your mid-year reviews and that kind of thing.
That's a big chunk of money, and thanks for the hard work in getting it here. It's, I'm sure it's going to be well received. Get rid of some of those swales and potholes and things like that out there. Okay, any public comment? Bring it back to the limited number of board members we have here.
I'll move on staff recommendation here and increase the amount.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Hanvelt, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0 with Supervisor Royce and Rutherford absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. Okay. 19.
This is consideration of approving an appointment to the California State Association of Counties Board of Directors for the 2018-19 association year.
All right, so we got to have a person on that for next year, looking for a nomination.
Mr. Chairman, continuity on these state wide and appointments are really essential to keep things moving. So I would recommend that we keep the status quo and appoint Supervisor Brennan for another year on that.
Okay, and I'd be happy to second that. Looks like you're going to have to vote for yourself this time.
Well, a 2-to-1 vote carries. That's a majority of those present.
I'm not sure if it works that way. Any public comment?
Woo, woo.
No public comment. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 3-0.
And I believe we have to name an alternate in that same spirit. I would nominate Supervisor Hanfeld to be the alternate.
Well, I'll second that. Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 3-0. Supervisor Royce Rutherford absent. Okay. Let's recess to closed sessions. Mr. Supervisor Rutherford might have something.
So this is going to be 21 and 24 and 25. Awesome. Closed session, conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation, authority government code section 549569D41 case. 22's been pulled. 23's been heard. 24 is closed session, conference with labor negotiators Craig Pedro, Tracy Riggs, Ann Fremt, Kim Phipps, authority government code section 54957.6, all bargaining units. 25 is conference with real property negotiator, price and terms, authority government code section 54956.8. Negotiators are Craig Pedro and Maureen Frank. Negotiations with Oxbow Investment related to property located at 18440 Stryker Court, Sonora, California, APN 061-150-003.
Okay, any public comment on closed session items? Seeing none, do we expect to report anything out on any of these? All right, we'll adjourn to closed session. Be back at 1:30. How do we change? Good afternoon. We just returned from closed session. We have nothing to report. Clerk, please read our first 1:30 appointment.
This is a public hearing to consider Rumsey Hodge application to rescind two existing Williams Knapp contracts and execute new Williams Knapp land conservation contract, approving two new agricultural management plans, file a notice of non-renewal, and approve a notice of exemption for the two new Williams Knapp contracts.
All right. In an abundance of caution, I'm recusing myself as there's a relative involved in this land use matter, and I'm going to pass the gavel to Vice Chair.
So I got the hammer. Okay, staff report.
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Hendry. I'm the project planner. We have an application from Donald Rumsey and Darlene Hodge for our two Williamson Act contracts, which are WA18-001 and W18-002. Here are the vision, mission, and values policies of Tuolumne County, which we utilize to process every project application received by the Community Resources Agency. One value is to encourage innovative and creative approaches to problem solving. An application was received from the Rumseys and the Hodges to rescind their existing Williamson Act contracts, which are 04WA-92 and 04WA-95, in order to enter into two new Williamson Act contracts. The Rumsey contract is proposed for 164.3 acres, and the Hodge contract is proposed for 705.7 acres. This request will facilitate Exhibit Map T18-010 to allow a lot line adjustment between two parcels currently owned by the Rumseys. The adjustment would transfer 11.5 acres from one parcel and add that acreage to the other parcel. The remaining 143.5 acres of this 155-acre parcel, which will be sold to the Hodge family for inclusion into their new contract. The map will be shown on another slide of the lot line adjustment. The project also includes serving a notice of non-renewal on APN 96-12070. This parcel was a portion of the original Rumsey-Williamson Act contract. The 10-acre parcel was sold to a non-family member and does not contain sufficient acreage to enter into an individual Williamson Act contract. The current zoning on the project site is exclusive agricultural, 37-acre minimum agricultural preserve combining, and the general plan land use designation is agricultural. The Rumsey property is located at 16193 Anderson Drive and 15995 Wards Ferry Road. The Hodge property is located at 16239 Wards Ferry Road, approximately a quarter mile northwest of the intersection of Yosemite Road and Wards Ferry Road. The project site is outlined in black. The parcels colored green are designated for agricultural uses by the Tuolumne County General Plan. The brown color on this map represents rural residential land uses. The dark brown color near the north represents large lot residential land uses. The state's Williamson Act Land Conservation Program began in 1965 to help farmers preserve agricultural land. In exchange for entering into a 10-year contract, the property owner receives a tax reduction on the property. The contract remains on this property until a notice of non-renewal is served on the property either by the county or by the individual property owner to come out of the Williamson Act program. Resolution 10604 is utilized by Tuolumne County to enforce the state's Williamson Act program. Rule 4A1C states that any commercial agricultural operation must be existing at the time a new contract is recommended for approval by the Agriculture Advisory Committee. The minimum parcel size for a dryland grazing contract is 160 acres. The proposed two new contracts meet the minimum acreage requirements. An application was received in April 2018 requesting a lot line adjustment between two parcels owned by the Rumseys. Section 51257 of the California Government Code requires that for a land reconfiguration, the property owners must rescind their existing Williamson Act contract and enter into a new contract. The same amount of land must still be restricted by the new contract. The current project would meet the requirements of the government code. This map shows the proposed lot line adjustment of the two parcels. The arrow is pointing at the area proposed to be adjusted in the amount of 11.5 acres. This area will be added to the contract for the Rumsey's property to the south as shown in pink. The remaining 143 acres of this parcel will be added to the Hodge property, which is the green colored parcels to the west. The small pink parcel to the north, right before the white area, is the 10 acres that is proposed to be served a notice of non-renewal. Here are the proposed two new Williamson Act contracts following the lot line adjustment. The tan color is the Rumsey's new contract, and the green color is the Hodge's new contract. The project was considered by the Agriculture Advisory Committee at its meeting on September 20th, 2018. At that meeting, the committee unanimously recommended approval of rescinding the existing Williamson Act contracts and entering into two new Williamson Act contracts. The committee also recommended serving a notice of non-renewal on the 10-acre parcel. The project was not heard by the Planning Commission since no zone change was needed for this project. The Board of Supervisors can either approve the project with modifications, deny the project, or even send the project back to staff for any outstanding issues. Community Resources Agency recommends making the findings to approve rescinding the existing two Williamson Act contracts in order to enter two new contracts, along with approval of the two new agricultural management plans. It is also recommended that your board approve serving a notice of non-renewal on assessor parcel number 9612070 for noncompliance with Resolution 10604. Any questions?
Okay, any board questions before I open up the public hearing? Okay, then this will be a public hearing. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Can I please have any public hearing or public comments in support of the proposal? Okay, seeing none. Are there any public comments in opposition to the proposal? Also seeing none. Are there any proponents that don't care, or any comments from people that don't care about the proposal? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, thank you, staff. It's nice when these come, and they're kind of a no-brainer, as we would say. And so I would move that we rescind Williamson Act Land Conservation Contract 04WA-92 and 04WA-95 based on items 1A through K, and that we execute two new Williamson Act contracts, WA-18001 and WA-18002, under Resolution 10604. Those would be also based on the findings A through K, and that we approve two agricultural management plans based on findings 2A through E, and that the community resource that we also file a notice of non-renewal on APN 96-120-70 based on findings 3A through D.
Okay. Any other comments from the board before we go? Okay. All those in favor of the motion by Supervisor Brennan and seconded by Supervisor Hanveld signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. It passes 302 with one abstention, or one recusal and one absence. And Fearless Leader can come back in.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay. Please read our second 1:30 appointment.
This is a presentation on the Community Corrections Partnership 2017-18 Annual Report and Fiscal Year 2018-19 Plan Update.
I'll go ahead and let them get set up and let's start. So, good afternoon, Chairman Gray, members of the board, Linda Downey, Community Corrections Partnership Chair and Chief Probation Officer. On June 19th, your board accepted the fiscal year 2018-2019 Community Corrections Partnership Plan Update and Budget with the understanding that staff would return at a later date to present a review of fiscal year 17-18 as well as the updated plan and goals for fiscal year 18-19. In accordance with AB 109, AB 117, the county created a Community Corrections Partnership, or CCP, committee and developed a plan that will enable the county to meet the goals of public safety realignment. The CCP Executive Committee in Tuolumne County consists of 7 members: the Chief Probation Officer, who chairs, the presiding judge of the Superior Court, the District Attorney, the Sheriff, the Public Defender, the Director of Behavioral Health, and the City of Sonora's Chief of Police. Present today are District Attorney Krieg, Sheriff Pulley, Behavioral Health Director Michael Wilson, and did anybody else sneak in? Also present is Lisette Ortiz in the front row with Geo, who provide our re-entry services to the jail and our day reporting center. I would like to take this time to thank the Executive Committee and all who participate in the partnership. It is an honor to serve alongside the dedicated public servants and elected officials who are committed to the safety of our community with the goals of restoring victims, reducing recidivism, and strengthening our families. In addition to their monthly, not monthly, we've been meeting quite frequently. It hasn't been monthly, but we also have 3 work groups going on. So this group gets a number of emails from me, which I totally appreciate their quick responses. I know that they're already have very busy schedules, so definitely wanted to thank them for that. Also, what's happened in the last month, we had the relocation of our day reporting center to the former Innovation Lab. Their first day serving clients at that new site was October 8th. So they're still settling in. I understand they've named the ghost, and they're moving right along. With that move, that should result in almost a $60,000 a year lease savings. The presentation will follow the same format as last year. CCP and agency members are here to answer any questions you may have and provide any additional information they may like to share. Are you guys ready? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our presenters today. They are our data collector, Shanna Relay, a staff service analyst, and Amy Arndt, the probation business manager.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. We're good. I am Shanna Relay, and I'm going to present the CCP fiscal year 2017-18 annual report. And then I'm going to pass it over to Amy Arndt, and she's going to do the presentation on the CCP budget update and plan update for fiscal year 2018-2019. Just a little bit of background about realignment. In 2011, Governor Jerry Brown signed the Public Safety Realignment Act, as we know of as AB 109. And since its implementation, nonviolent, non-serious, and non-sex offenders serve their felony prison sentences locally. The Community Corrections Partnership was created at the county level. And then on July 19th, 2011, the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors designated the Probation Department as the supervising county agency for the post-release community supervision program. The CCP is responsible for developing and implementing the local public safety realignment plan. Funds are to be spent on evidence-based and promising practices. These include day reporting centers, behavioral health treatment, electronic monitoring, victim restitution, counseling and education, community service, and work training. There are two distinct AB 109 populations that we supervise, and that's the post-release community supervision and the mandatory supervision offenders. The post-release community supervision offenders are those that are released back into the community after serving their state prison term, and then they're supervised by the probation department. Previously, they were placed on a grant of state parole, which was supervised by the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. The next target population is mandatory supervision, and there's two types of mandatory supervision sentences, and it's when you can have a jail-only sentence or a split sentence. Jail-only would mean the offenders serve their entire sentence in jail. And then if they have a split sentence, it's when offenders serve the portion of their sentence in custody and then the remainder of their sentence on supervision by the probation department. Next, we have the pretrial program, which is responsible for releasing inmates from the jail that have not been sentenced yet. And this is only for those that meet the criteria, which I'll discuss in the next slide. The current jail has a maximum capacity of 147 inmates. Currently, approximately 60 to 75% of the county's jail beds are occupied by inmates who have not been sentenced. This is what prompted us to formalize a pretrial release program. The goals of the program are to ensure the safety of the community, that the released person makes their court appearances, that we protect the presumption of innocence, and that we maximize number of jail beds for sentenced inmates. So a little bit about how the program works. We utilize a risk assessment tool designed to meet the demographics of this county, and that was implemented on November 1st of 2017. The tool scores individuals in terms of risk to miss court appearances and their likelihood to be arrested for a new offense. So the offenders are ranked low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. So if they're marked low risk, they're released from jail with a date to appear in court, and they are not supervised by the probation department. If they are released moderate risk, then they're placed on electronic monitoring and monitored by the probation department with terms and conditions. Next, we have the high risk offenders, and that's those who are released by the order of the court or by posting bail. So during the first 8 months, we had 172 individuals that were released on the pretrial program. And just to keep in mind, these are those individuals that we monitored under probation, not the ones that were low risk. So what it means to be successful, it means that they appeared at their court hearings and they didn't attain any new law violations. And then if they were unsuccessful, it means they absconded from court or were rearrested on new charges. And so we saw 26% were successful and 16% were unsuccessful. And at the time, 58% were active. Now we're going to talk about the departments who received AB 109 funding for fiscal year 17-18. Probation AB 109 funding supported staffing and trainings, and then programming such as electronic monitoring, work release, community service, and the high-risk supervision team. For electronic monitoring, we have two devices. We have a GPS device, and the picture on the right is a screenshot of the GPS tracking coordinates for one person on one day. And then we have alcohol monitoring. And during the fiscal year, we had 542 total enrollments. As far as the work release program goes, it's the main alternative to custody utilized by the court for misdemeanors and lower risk felony offenders. The program provides public service work throughout the county 5 days a week. Typically, it averages about 10 to 15 individuals per day. And during the fiscal year, we logged 1,724 days, which equaled about 10,344 man hours, which was about $114,000 worth of labor performed. And 85% of that was performed on county projects. Next, we have community service, and in the fiscal year, we had 12,180 hours completed at local registered nonprofit organizations, and this included animal shelters, veterans services, and housing organizations. The next few slides are some examples of the work release projects done in the county. Next, we have the high-risk supervision team that was also supported by AB 109 funding. They are responsible for probation compliance checks. They conduct searches. They provide drug testing, assist with warrant services, and they even refer offenders to treatment services. During the fiscal year, 759 probation incidents were created. Over 100 arrests were made on fresh cases and warrant arrests. They also assisted the SWAT team with search warrant services, which included the local gentlemen's club. They also began serving search warrants under Prop 63, which was the firearms relinquishment. This graph you see is a snapshot of active probationers on June 30th. So we had 56 active PRCS individuals, 82 active mandatory supervision individuals, and 653 felony probation individuals. Next, we'll talk about the Sheriff's Office. In the Sheriff's Office, AB 109 funding supported staffing and trainings. It also supported programming like the jail inmate work crew and the female inmate work crew. Their AB 109 in custody snapshot included or stated that 12% of the jail is made up of AB 109 offenders. 30% of those participated in the work crews. 12% participated in programs like NA and AA. 18% participated in religious programming. 12% were working on their GED, and 18% were actively involved in the GEO jail reentry programming. For the jail inmate work crew, that provides vocational skills for inmates. Anecdotally, we have seen a reduction in recidivism and positive inmate behavior. The work crew also provides valuable services and products to the community. Close to 1,023,000 work hours were logged. 79 inmates were assigned. It generated $110,000 in revenue and saved the county over $75,000 in labor. The next few slides show some examples of projects done by the female work crew and the male work crew. We also have some positive quotes from the work program. They're also located in your plan, but I'll just highlight Nicole C. from the nursery crew. She said, "Not only have I gained new skills, I am very happy and motivated. I look forward to living a life drug-free and putting all of my new skills to use. Thank you very much for this program."
Next, we have GEO Reentry Services, and they are responsible for the day reporting center and the jail and the jail reentry program. The DRC is for out-of-custody offenders supervised by probation, and the JRP is for incarcerated offenders. The Day Reporting Center is a highly structured program for moderate to high-risk offenders. It provides evidence-based intensive treatment to help prevent future criminal behavior and encourage positive social attitudes. The programming includes moral recognition therapy, individual cognitive behavioral therapy, substance abuse classes, along with some drug testing, parenting classes, job skills, resume workshops, community service, and referrals to community agencies for housing, employment, mental health, veteran services, etc. Next, we have some photographs from the Day Reporting Center. We have an aftercare participant receiving her high school diploma. And then we have images from a recent family event where families got together and decorated birdhouses. Next, we have a graph that shows the discharges by fiscal year. This represents referrals and not individuals, as an individual may go through the program multiple times. Just to recap what success and unsuccessful means in the program, if someone is successful, they completed all of their assigned programs and services, which is phase 1 through 3, and in some cases aftercare of the program, and it's a minimum of 210 days. If someone is unsuccessful, it means they did not complete the program due to noncompliance, and usually they absconded or they returned to jail. Or I say returned, if they went to jail. Other means they did not complete the program for external reasons, and that can be perhaps their probation was transferred out of county. Maybe they went to drug and alcohol treatment. They attained full-time employment, or maybe they had a mental or physical limitation and they couldn't finish. So all of that is in detail in your plan on page 21 if you want to reference that. So for the discharges by year for this fiscal year, we had 26 successful referral or completions, and remember they're referrals, not individuals. 47 were unsuccessful, and 21 were classified as other. So just some explanations on why there's a lower success rate. Just keep in mind that this program is very intensive, extensive, and demanding, and it's a minimum of 210 days. And in order to move from one phase to the next, you have to complete all of your assignments and remain drug-free. So, and this is also based on referrals and not individuals. And for example, an individual may be counted as unsuccessful multiple times before they're finally successful. Another thing to keep in mind is that our population of other, they're not completing for sometimes positive reasons. So maybe they went to drug and alcohol treatment, which was more beneficial to them at the time, or they secured full-time employment. Next, we have a spotlight on the apprenticeship program. This was offered to females in the DRC for a 6-week Hetch-Hetchy project. And during the program, they learned basic construction skills such as concrete forming, safety, traffic control, stormwater pollution and prevention. Taylor from the program says it's fun, hands-on experience that involves constant learning, and it's a great way for women to reintegrate back into society. Next, we have the jail reentry program, and this is evidence-based treatment for inmates while they're incarcerated. That's either court-mandated or they can volunteer to participate. The overall goal is to prepare inmates for successful reentry back into the community. This includes individual assessment and treatment planning, cognitive behavioral therapy, life skills, cognitive skills, substance abuse counseling, referrals to community resources, periodic evaluation of progress, awards and affirmation for compliance, assistance with job preparation and placement services upon release. So this next graph shows the JRP discharges by year. And for what it means to be successful in the JRP is that an offender must complete 50% of the program and they leave in good standing. If they are unsuccessful, it means they did not complete the program due to noncompliance. And if they are considered other, it means they did not complete the program for external reasons, such as they were released from custody early, or maybe they transferred to programming at the day reporting center. Next, we have the district attorney's office. And the district attorney's AB 109 funding supported the victim witness program, attorney staffing to work on PRCS and mandatory supervision cases. So the Victim Witness Program offers support and information about victims' rights within the criminal justice system through services such as case status updates, court escorts, referrals to community services, information regarding restitution, jail release information, assist in collecting restitution information, and victim impact statements for pre-sentence reports. During the fiscal year, they provided 288 services to new victims, and they offered over 5,691 services to those victims. In regards to the criminal division, the DA's office appears on all court calendars where an individual violates PRCS or mandatory supervision by providing a deputy district attorney to staff these hearings. This deputy reviews the petition and represents the people at the hearing. There were during the fiscal year, there were 101 PRCS court appearances. There were 3 contested PRCS hearings and 78 violations of mandatory supervision hearings. The Behavioral Health Department received AB 109 funding to support substance use treatment in effort to support the goals of reducing recidivism and increasing employment. In the fiscal year, 9 individuals went to residential treatment. Treatment episodes per individual were from 7 to 89 days, with a total of 360 days of treatment provided overall. 6 of the 9 individuals successfully completed residential treatment. We also have some positive quotes from the substance use disorder programming. They're also listed in your plan if you want to refer to them, but I'll read Levi C. He says, I learned valuable tools and life skills I needed to stay clean and achieve some goals I had made for myself in my recovery. If it were not for these programs, I would not be where I am in my life. Next, I'm going to pass the presentation along to Amy to present the CCP budget and plan update for fiscal year 18-19.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm the probation business manager. This is my first rodeo with AB 109 CCP, so please bear with me. Chief Downey came and presented the 2018-19 goals and budget as part of the CCP plan on June 19th, and your board took action to accept that. So I'm just going to kind of recap what was discussed back in June. Your board accepted a $2,251,259 total expense budget, including all expenses. And we've just sort of organized it into categories. So the bulk of the funding goes to pay for salaries and benefits, including most significantly probation, the sheriff's office, but also some portions to some to the DA and also behavioral health. The next most significant expense is professional services contracts, and the large bulk of that is for geo reentry services planning programming at the DRC and the jail reentry program. And then we do spend some money on supplies and equipment. A lot of that includes the DRC building rent, but as Linda mentioned before, that lease will be ending at the end of this month, and so that'll result in about over $38,000 in savings for this year, and then in future years close to $60,000 because we'll be in county-owned locations. And then the remaining 10% of the funding goes to supplies, equipment, and training. And so this next slide just shows a pie chart of what we just talked about. As I had said, the lion's share of the funding from AB 109 goes to salaries and benefits, and then the next largest share, about 22%, is for geo-reentry programming, and then also some share of electronic monitoring and drug testing that's not covered by participant fees. And then supplies and equipment and training rounds out the last 10%. And so your board also heard about the goals that the CCP had formed for 2018-19 back in June. But just to re-go over those, the goals to guide this year's progress, we're going to be forming a multidisciplinary team to work together to identify and treat offenders' diverse needs, medical, mental health, substance abuse, housing needs, et cetera. And then the second goal was to create a trial mental health competency program to assist offenders that are found mentally incompetent to stand trial with treatment and to hopefully restore them to competency while they're here locally and while they're waiting placement in the state hospital system. So I'll go over some of the highlights of the funded departments for 2018-19. CCP is really excited for behavioral health's increased involvement, which included partial funding for a full-time behavioral health clinician. So with part of this clinician's time, and this person has been hired and is already starting to work, which is wonderful. So the AB 109 funding goes to working with those AB 109 clients, and then also towards being the facilitator of the multidisciplinary treatment team that was part of the goal to be the point and lead person for that. The funding also included specific line item for housing and residential substance abuse treatment specifically for AB 109 offenders, and some limited funding for recovery counselor and peer specialist work with AB 109ers. And the district attorney's office, the AB 109 funding for this fiscal year will support one victim witness advocate who's assigned to AB 109 clients, and provide some increased funding for the criminal division attorney staffing to work on those PRCS and mandatory supervision cases and court appearances. In probation, we made some significant changes due to fluctuating sentencing and participation in work release and in pretrial. We kind of adjusted work release down. There weren't as many people participating or being sentenced to work release, and then conversely, more people being released from the jail on pretrial. So we adjusted our funding and staffing accordingly. And in this year, we're going to continue to do statistical tracking and try and improve that data collection too, to see where we're effective and where we need to, to improve. And we do have a plan included a small amount of funding to add a system for automated text and telephone reminders for people to remind them of when their court dates are coming. It can be confusing to navigate the judicial system, and hoping that those reminders to get them in there will help their, participation and ultimately their success rate. And then also in this year, we've been working with CDCR on pre-release video conferencing so that people who are about to be released from prison, to help them see the faces of the people that they're going to be working with when they come out of prison and come back into the community. So those are some of the things that probation is working on this year with AB 109 funding. And then in the sheriff's office, AB 109 funding continue to support staffing in the jail, provide training, and to support male and female inmate work crew supplies. And so their purpose has been and remains to ensure proper care, custody, safety, and skill enhancement of AB 109 inmates at our jail. And so just in summary, all this began with the Public Safety Realignment Act, or AB 109. At the beginning in 2011-12, the CCP presented you with an implementation plan, and then every year after has submitted updated plans for your board. And just the overall purpose of all this is just to provide a comprehensive approach to address public safety and to try and ultimately reduce criminal recidivism. And again, our target populations are those post-release community service or supervision and mandatory supervision populations. And our goal is to provide valid alternatives to incarceration and rehabilitative services that support these individuals. And with that, that's the end of our presentation.
Says, thank you. Very good. Supervisor Rutherford, we'll start with him. He has a question.
Okay. I'm sure that all my colleagues, a very interesting report. I bit my tongue and didn't interrupt you as you were going through it. So back on the pretrial pie chart that had successful, unsuccessful, and active, I would just offer that that's an interesting snapshot, but what would be more interesting is to take the active out of it, because they're sort of still ongoing. The successful and unsuccessful are really your measure or your metric for how the program's doing, I guess, or how the people that are in the program are doing. Because if I take the active out, it's 61% successful and 39% unsuccessful, which makes the unsuccessful piece of the pie look a little bit more stark, okay? Just a suggestion, because the active people are eventually going to show up in the successful or unsuccessful.
Before you leave that, Supervisor Rutherford,
Yeah.
I hit that same spot and drew exactly the same conclusion. And I don't know how that relates to how other people do, but I'm kind of curious. And curious, is that are we doing anything to change to try and adjust that kind of ratio?
So I think I circled the same thing, and I think the basic question is, that statistic, how does it compare to what's happening in other places other than Tuolumne County?
Right. As you're aware, the pretrial program, we just got it up and running November 1st.
Okay.
So this is one of our meetings that I am hounding my fellow committee members. We meet pretty regularly to tweak it. So hopefully we are going to have some good statistics for you. I can't say that we have that right now.
Okay.
That's fair, but I would add that I also commented on that very same topic.
On the pie chart?
Yeah.
And I think actually our first pie chart was that.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
But we wanted to show you all the work we were doing, I think.
Okay.
Because we're still monitoring those active.
And that's a good chart, too. I mean, I'm not saying throw that one out. I'm just saying that you take a different look at that.
Exactly.
Okay, and it paints to me, it paints a different picture. On to the probation demographics chart. It's kind of hard to see on my little thing here, but it seems like the trend on the felony probation was up until about 13, 14, and then it's been steadily decreasing up to the 17, 18. I suspect that is a reality from the various ballot initiatives and AB 109 itself, in that there's fewer people in the felony system because a lot of things have become misdemeanors. So now I look down, and what I see is I don't see a corresponding necessarily noticeable increase in the PRCs and the mandatory supervision. So what I'd like to know is that, as I'm interpreting it, is it's a pretty good news story, or can I draw that kind of a conclusion from that?
Well, you're exactly right for the drop in felony probationers. So what happened around that time was the passage of Prop 47, and that was the reduction of felonies to misdemeanors. So that explains that huge drop right there. And then as far as the rest of the population, everything's sort of leveled out. I think Dan might want to touch
Good
on.
afternoon, Board. Dan Hawks, Assistant Chief Probation Officer. Just to add to that, you're right. You're right on about the proposition measures definitely had an impact on that. What we did see that there was initially a drop in the crime rate in Tuolumne County, but there has been a little bit of a pickup back in that, and the PRCS and the mandatory supervision populations are based on releases from custody.
Okay.
So those will fluctuate. We expect they're actually going to increase a little bit over the next few years. So,
Okay.
And I think those numbers will stay steady. Another factor to take away from that is also we've seen an increase in the risk level of our offenders in tracking who we're dealing with. We're dealing with a much higher risk group of people. The lower risk offenders seem to have dropped off. We're not seeing our Prop 36 and our early entry programs that we used to try to serve, for diversion and drug treatment purposes. Those programs have really kind of withered away. And what we're dealing with now is really the higher risk to moderate risk.
Thanks. And then just a chart on that same chart, just a chartsmanship kind of thing. When you have different pieces of data that are orders of magnitude different, if you put it on a chart with a dual vertical axis, you don't make these little ones way down at the bottom seem insignificant. You can actually see some better trends on that. So what I would do is the PRCs and the mandatory supervision, put a different axis on there for those two, and that blows them up a little bit, and you get a better, because I can't even tell from here. And then over on the sheriff's office on the jail inmate work crew program, Bill, awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. It is a great program. I guess it's multiple programs now, but come on up and tell us about it, Bill. It's worth it. Hey.
But hey, I was going to call him up anyway.
That's fine.
No, get over here. I thought you did say, all right. John is absolutely the key to making all this work. He runs our entire program, and he will tell you all about it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Oops. Chairman Gray and Board of Supervisors. My name is John Fisher. I run the MA work crew. This is going into our 4th year. When I first started this, we started it with a dream from the Sheriff Mealy at the time and Under Sheriff Pooley at the time to start a work crew up here, an outside work crew. We started off with Daniel Dean, who used to work for probation, and now Corporal Marcus Green with a 4-man crew. And we were scrambling to find out what we're going to do the following week. Now we're up to 2 deputies that run an 8-man crew, and we have a female that runs 5 females up at the nursery. And so now we're about 3 months out. Someone calls me now, I'm like, hey, so how about December? And everyone's like, wow. we've come a long ways. I'd like to highlight a couple of the things that happened this year. Deputy Eric Davis took the handle, and we got egg certified, so we're handlers, so we can actually sell eggs to the public. Once our flock gets bigger, I'll chase that down. We sent Jamie Galvez, who is our deputy that runs the female crew. She went through the Master Gardener's course and is certified from that. That gives her more experience and more knowledge to teach the inmates when we're actually doing propagation and plants. About September of last year, I got a phone call from then the Undersheriff Pulley. Can you bring your work crew up to Groveland and find a murder weapon? Wow. We went up there, a blackberry bush about half the size of this room, and we demoed it down to the dirt. Couldn't find it. It got dark. Came back the next day. We're standing there briefing the inmates about not touching anything, not reaching down to do anything. Inmate looked down. He was standing on it. Little tiny 4-inch by 3-inch pistol that we found. So I think that was a great idea. We have the new plants. They're ordered. They should be in any time now soon for the new jail. The cost is really minimal. It's going to save the county $160,000. The inmates are going to go out with a landscaper and actually help install them. We had a coat drive this last Sunday. Sheriff Pulley had an idea in June for us to go to all the schools, pick up the lost and found, take them back, sort them, go through stuff that's ripped and no good, throw it away, go through the laundry at the jail, clean it, sort it, stack it. Deputy Jamie Galvez took the lead on this. We set up a whole thing at Motherlode Treasures. That's where also the females have a booth up there for all their handiworks being sold. We had 67 kids come out there. It's one of those things that just like the first little kid that put on a hat that was there and ran around is like, this day's good. One of the females that work at the nursery right now got this little note. One of her daughters came to get a coat, and she gave this note to the deputy. And I think that right there says exactly what we're supposed to do. We gave a couple bags to the Kiwanis Club. They did the last Saturday up in Groveland. The question is, what impact do we have on our inmates? That's the number one thing that we look at. Our recidivism rate for the outside work crew is 22.3. Recidivism rate is basically the revolving door of all county jails. Nationwide, 90% of the people in a county jail have been there before. 90%. So the nation's status for recidivism is 68%. For the state of California, it's 65%. We're at 22.3. I might be a little picky on who I put on the work crew, but people have done that. We have people working at the fairgrounds now for jobs. We have a lot of people up working for logging companies from learning how to run a chainsaw. Got a guy working at Levi Stadium as a security guard. Got people all over the place. And it's sort of funny. They get back with me and tell me, hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing really good, which is what we're supposed to do. We are, I think, the only county in the state of California that now pays our inmates. It's been a struggle to get an account. The jail industry's fund up to $10,000, and then now we're starting to pay them, just like a job. You start off with $1 a day, $1.50 next month, and $2. And so now they're up to $2, so every 2 weeks they get paid. The money goes on their books for commissary, for money, for gate money, for them to leave, and it's a huge thing. Before I close on this, I need to tell people, I started this program, I got it going by a dream from Sheriff Mealy and Undersheriff Pulley at the time, and we got it up and running. But there's a lot of deputies that actually are out there in the cold, in the heat, in the sweat, in the dust, doing all this stuff, and I'd like to appreciate them. Starting off with Corporal Marcus Green, and then Deputy Nathan Rogers, Deputy Jared Richards, Deputy Jared Teague, or Justin Teague, Deputy Travis Sanchez, Deputy Chris Leos, and last of all, Jamie Galvez. She's been a rock star when it comes to the female crew up there. She's been doing it since it started, and she continues to go. If you ever go to Motherlode Mountain Treasures and look at some of the stuff that they made, it's off the hook. And like the little card says, that's exactly what we're doing. We're actually building people to get on and get out of here and go and get a job.
Thank you. And I just, I'll cede my floor for a second if you guys want to.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Appreciate it. I have one more question, then I have a closing statement. On the day reporting center, when you're talking about successes and unsuccessfuls, what happens to the unsuccessfuls? Do they re-enter and start it over again? Do they go back to jail, or what happens to the unsuccessfuls?
It just kind of depends on the person. I know that's probably not the answer
Okay.
you wanted, but
But they don't
we
just
do
float off into society
No,
and disappear.
I mean, sometimes and this could be why our unsuccessful rate is so high, because sometimes we are seeing people go through 4 different times in a fiscal year before they're finally successful.
Okay.
So
Thank
they
you.
are coming back in.
Okay, back in 2011, folks, I don't think any of us that were involved, well, I wasn't involved in the decision-making when this got passed and signed, but I think that a lot of people in the DA's office, the sheriff's office, the Board of Supervisors really were opposed to AB 109. In fact, I don't know anybody that I was talking to at the time that wasn't pretty much opposed to it. I'm not sure that it hasn't cost us something in the grand scheme of things, but I want to congratulate our CCP team for stepping up and making this their own and making this a hugely successful program. I go around the state, as do many of my colleagues on this board, and I think that it's clear to me that we have as good a CCP program as anybody in the state. And I credit that to our DA and her office, our sheriff and his staff. Obviously, probation department is the lead on this, and I am heartened, not by all the unsuccessfuls, but I am heartened by the successes, and I am heartened by, and you know, Laura could get up here and talk about her programs and everything, and we could probably fill half a day with the good things that have come out of this program. And I want to thank each and every one of you for working together as a team and really having each other's backs and making it a success for this county. Thank you.
Okay.
I got a few questions. I wish we'd have stopped you and asked questions because I've lost a few of them already. But first of all,
It's okay. It comes with age. You'll
with
catch
age.
up with it.
How would you know?
Because I'm getting close.
And I was just making mental notes as we went through. When you were first talking, you said recidivism was down, and I was going to ask, is that associated with things like Prop 47, and that you can't send them back to jail, instead they get a citation? And I was curious how much those things have occurred, and what kind of statistics we have on those, and because there's these discrete points in time where the rules changed. And I suspect those had a lot to do with some of the impacts or the results that you see. And I think you mentioned that on that June 30th snapshot that you did. So, I mean, the rules changed, and you know, you're not a felon anymore. $950 in guns that are cheaper don't count anymore. And the rules on what's violent and nonviolent have changed. I mean, those things all disturb me. So I have trouble in your presentation kind of distinguishing what are those points in time, and are they the major influence or not. You said recidivism went down, but I don't know what that means in light of these other things, and so I'm just curious if you got any comment about that.
I don't think that I said recidivism went down. I think I was talking about the probation population went down in that snapshot slide. But if you are curious about recidivism, the Board of State and Community Corrections, their definition of recidivism is any new conviction within 3 years. So that could be a felony or a misdemeanor. But what's really hard for us to track is we can only track what happens to the offender while they're on probation. So we don't know what happens the minute they're closed. So there's a lot of external things that can happen. They can offend out of county, and we're not going to know vice versa. It's a very, very hard statistic to track. But if you are curious about maybe like our unsuccessfuls, in probation as a whole. I do have that data, and unsuccessfuls would be people that are terminated from probation and they go to prison or jail. So I have that if that's what you're, that would be the
I'm
closest
always
thing I
interested
could
in-
give you to recidivism.
Okay, I'm always interested in those kind of data. I'm curious from the whole team. Look, there's new rules all the time. This thing we're just hearing about, no cash bail. What's that going to do? How are you preparing for that? You don't have to answer that question, but I am really interested in how that's going to change what happens here. I'm also very curious what's going to happen. Our district attorney and I have talked a little about this, but the budget trailer bill, 1810, AB 1810, how's that going to change the game and what's going to happen? These things kind of scare me a little bit in terms of what's going on. And I want to echo everything that Supervisor Rotifer said about how impressed I am personally with how this team has worked together and adjusted and danced through the changing landscape and rules, and what a marvelous job you've done. But, I mean, the changing landscape continues to change, and it brings new challenges to you guys all the time. And I'm just curious how we're going to deal with these things. It kind of scares me when I see these things. By the way, I have a question for. I love the program. I love the program. I hate to say I wish we had more inmates in the program. I don't really want more inmates. I want more. But do we have a program where we're trying to help? I mean, you mentioned all the successes where they're placed. I'd say, do we have a program where we're helping them get placed?
We actually are starting to work a partnership with Motherload Job Training. Did you get a microphone? We're actually just starting up a program with Mudload Job Training. We're doing research surveys for inmates in custody right now to find out exactly what their needs are when they get out of here. Shelter, work, job, driver's license, whatever it is. And so we're working this survey on this side to give Mudload Job Training because they got a lot of grants and stuff right now. And they have a good link of actually giving the baton from me to them for someone who wants to work. And so all the inmates in the workers' tank and also through the entire jail are having a survey. They've already done a bunch of it, and it actually looks like shelter, and it looks like just getting a job is the most critical thing for them. And so we're building a link between them getting released, because we have some guys that if I had a construction crew, I'd hire them the next day they get out. But when they get out and there's no place to go, well, now they have a phone number, they have a point of contact, they have a place to go to actually get on with them. So, and I think the pay part of it, even though we're not paying them a lot, if they save that money up, at least they got a couple, 2 or 3 weeks of paying for a hotel so they get their feet going, so it just gives them a better green light. So we are building this link, and it's almost connected. We have a couple more pieces we got to put together.
Well, that's exactly why I asked the question. I had thinking through it. You know, you don't have to be very deep to figure out that, look, it's got to be a little tougher to get a job when you have a record than not have a job, because I'm sure you got to tell everybody it's a little tougher to get a job and survive out in the world when you haven't got a place to stay and maybe you need the training. So I think, are you trying to get? I know Motherload Job Training really well. Are we trying to do that while they're still under the system, or are we doing it?
Yes,
Because
actually,
that's
we're
what
starting to do
makes
it
sense.
now because we have a process when they're 120 days out. We start this process with them and what you're doing, where you're going, how you're doing, what do you need from us, and a lot of them will respond to that positively. Those who don't, those are the ones I'll see back. But the ones that positively, and a lot of people have a game plan when they get out of here. We had a couple kids who were 19, 20 years old that I basically told them they're going to work and they didn't want to. And I said, why not? Well, I've never had a job. You're 20 years old. What do you mean you never had a job? Well, I go steal stuff and burglarize stuff. You're going to go to work. Put him on the work crew. About 2 weeks later, he shook my hand. He goes, oh, my God, this is amazing. I've never been so tired at night, and I feel like I was so much worth during the day. We did this, we did that. It's amazing. So I've never seen that kid. It's been 18 months. So that's a great sign.
Okay, I'll carry it offline with you with some stuff, because I got some harebrained ideas that maybe we can work with Motherload Job Training.
I can work with that.
All right.
And I just wanted, Laura Creek, District Attorney, I just wanted to address some of Supervisor Hanvelt's comments, beginning with recidivism. I think that's a great question to be looking at and a great question to ask, because I always warn people when we're talking about recidivism, it's very, very important to find out how are we defining recidivism, because different agencies are defining it in different ways. For example, CDCR defines recidivism as somebody that returns to state prison within a period of time. As mentioned here, the definition being used was somebody that has a new conviction within 3 years. What's really important to realize is a lot of our cases take 2 to 3 years to go through the court process, especially if it's a violent felony. We really push and push to move our cases through. However, on serious cases and violent cases such as homicides and one-strike sexual assaults, defendants have a right to have their counsel prepared. And if their counsel walks in on the eve of trial and says they're not ready to go, they generally will get that continuance from the court, because the danger of not granting that continuance is that the conviction's overturned on appeal for ineffective assistance of counsel. So when we're looking at that definition of recidivism, you could have several people who have picked up a new charge and are pending in the court system but haven't reached conviction within 3 years. So I think that's a great question to ask, and I think that we really all need to be asking, how are we defining recidivism, and what does that really mean about the program? Regarding your question on no cash bail, that was an interesting one for all of us to look at when the governor signed that. What is important to know is that the bail industry, the bondsman industry, has got a referendum. They will be challenging that. And so we are being told, district attorneys are being told, that that will be tied up in litigation at least until the 2020 election. So it's something we want to keep an eye on, but it looks like the bail industry is taking that to the California voters. And so we will obviously be watching closely. But it has a potential huge impact, because then what we're trying to deal with is convincing the court whether or not this person is safe to release or not safe to release. And lots of times we have limited information, and that's a guessing game that comes with dangerous consequences potentially. Regarding AB 1810, this is a huge surprise that was snuck in on the budget trailer bill by the state legislature. When the district attorneys met with the HHS secretary, what we were told was this was going to be a county opt-in or opt-out program. So we are looking into that. The biggest reason is we all care about mentally ill offenders and whether they're incarcerated and getting them the appropriate treatment. However, this program only provided funding really to the top 15 referring counties to the Department of State Hospitals, which I can tell you is not Tuolumne County. So all of the money that's tied in to paying for mental health diversion programs under this trailer bill will not necessarily be coming to Tuolumne County. And as you know, that is a huge thing we need to watch. That is why the goal I submitted to the CCP this year was for us to look at a jail-based competency program, because there's two pieces of mental health diversion. There's those who have a mental health issue that causes them to commit the crime, and there's those that commit crimes and come into court and then are found not competent to stand trial. We're seeing an increase in both areas, and for those who come into court and are found incompetent to stand trial, oftentimes they have to be referred, and we're waiting months for the Department of State Hospitals to complete the jail competency training and classes to get those individuals to a place where they can get through the criminal justice system. Stanislaus County recently enacted a jail-based competency program in their jail. I talked to their district attorney, and she has told me that they are seeing individuals restored to competency in many cases in less than 30 days in their program. That is huge, and if we can implement a good program here in Tuolumne County, that's going to ease some of the backlog, that's going to get those individuals into treatment programs rather than sitting in incarceration or state hospitals, and move them into programs that they truly need. So I'm looking forward to working with my partners on this, and it was a primary goal of our CCP. So we're very excited about looking at doing a local jail-based competency program. But I'm happy to answer any other questions.
I wanted to just say thank you for that, because I knew about those things, and I think they add to the complexity of the issues this team's trying to deal with. And it never gets easier. It only gets tougher. And I'm impressed. But I think the public needs to know. I guess my last question, and I don't know whether it's for you or for the sheriff.
For the sheriff.
It's for the sheriff? Well, maybe you ought to hang around. I'm just curious, and qualitatively, I don't know, maybe you can do it quantitatively. What's your view of crime statistics in Tuolumne County? And I won't go any further than that. Up, down, neutral, more serious, less serious?
Well, we've seen an increase in our cases in Tuolumne County at the district attorney's office, just in sheer amount of numbers of cases we're opening. And I think, as Chief Downey mentioned, or Assistant Chief Hawks mentioned, what we're really seeing an increase is in our violent crime area. So what we're seeing an increase, well, you'll have some areas of law where you see a decrease, for instance, possibly in some narcotics cases or things of that nature. We're seeing a huge increase in areas like vehicle theft and violent crimes such as first-degree burglaries of residences. I mean, I think we've seen a massive increase in Tuolumne County in first-degree burglaries, and not just of burglaries, but burglaries where individuals are home at the time the burglary is taking place, which is a hugely dangerous situation. So we're seeing an increase in some of these violent areas. Again, I think it's all tied back to the law changes, because primarily Prop 57, with the early release of offenders from state prison, we are seeing waves of inmates being released early who are not nonviolent offenders. They are violent offenders, and oftentimes these violent offenders release and they reoffend. And they know that the likelihood of them going back to prison and serving a substantial sentence is getting less and less because of the different changes in law coming out of Sacramento. That's the reality. So that's what we're seeing. But I'd be happy if the sheriff wants
Before
to
you leave,
agree
before
or
you leave.
disagree. Did he leave the room? Where is
He's right behind you. Just don't look back. Before you leave,
Yes.
I think it's interesting observation. You just said that violent crime is on the increase, and from the way you answer that question, I assume that means dramatically up. And you and I have had the conversation that we've redefined violent crime to where there is a lot less crimes that qualify as violence. That's a serious problem.
Right. Yes, as you and I have discussed, the way that the legislature has been defining nonviolent crime includes things. They define nonviolent as human trafficking of a minor. That's considered nonviolent to the legislature. Assault on a peace officer is considered nonviolent to the legislature. I don't consider those crimes nonviolent. And so that's the mentality we're seeing. So then you realize that what's left as violent are things like murder, rape, assault with a deadly weapon, those types of crimes. But we're also seeing early release being given to violent offenders now. And actually, recently, as I recently talked to you about, we had an appellate court in California state that individuals serving life without the possibility of parole should also be considered for Prop 57 early release because it violates due process. So these are things that every month we're getting these types of things either out from appellate courts or from the legislature, which truly impact public safety and truly impact what we need to look at when we talk about recidivism.
Laura, you said that rape is still considered a violent crime, but
certain types of rape,
exactly.
Not all.
Yeah, if you drug someone and then rape them, that's not violent.
Right. Rape of an unconscious victim is considered nonviolent by the legislature.
Wonderful world we live in, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, last observation from me at least. After just listening to all this, you see the challenges are up and they're increasing. The rules are changing and they just make the problem tougher. But look at the results. This team is more amazing than you ever imagined because of what they're doing. Thank you all.
Thank you. And yes, I just want to give a shout out to Chief Downey because there's a lot of us in that room, and it's like herding cats, I'm sure. And we all get in there, and we don't always come from the same perspective, but we seem to meet in the middle and get things done. And so it is a great team to work with. So thank you.
So Laura, before you step away, I just. Very quick comment because Supervisor Hanfeld and Supervisor Rotifer have really gotten at a lot of the questions that I had. And this is more of a very brief commentary. These conversations are so important because the public asks us all the time because they have a sense of what's going on in the community. They know what's going on in their neighborhoods. And so with the changes in a lot of this legislation and, what constitutes a misdemeanor or a felony and what constitutes a violent felony. And these conversations are very important. And getting at, I guess there's a question associated with this too, because I think that we do need to get to some consistency somehow in how these are defined. And I don't know what that pathway is, but if someone in this group has some ideas, I would be open to hearing that and carrying that conversation to CSAC because we talk about this at the state level quite a bit. And some consistency in how we measure this, we've got to get to that so that the public really does have an understanding of what's happening out there. But thank you to the team, and I agree with the comments that my fellow supervisors have made. And please, if you want to share it with me offline, please do. But let's work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so my turn. I'm probably the only one that was here in 2011. Wasn't this? Were you here? I don't.
I didn't know if you wanted to give equal time to the sheriff. I mean, he Laura covered
only
him.
if he wants to say something.
He got his time with the work crew.
When we first looked at this, I mean, my goodness, what a awful thing that we're going to try to manage AB 109. And I have to say, the group that does this, you've done a tremendous job. I mean, the things that we are doing, we're changing people's lives for the good. A lot of things that are being done out there. I'd really like to figure out a way to keep the bad guy in jail longer somehow, but maybe with the bigger jail that might help. The thing that I worry about is, this is always fluid. Every year we seem to have a new bill that changes the rules and things that we are doing. And with that comes a cost. And what I worry about is the money that we are getting, is it keeping up with the job that we are have to do? And I see heads being shaken back there. So, what can we do? How do we influence the state to find those additional funds to do a better job with the mental health issue is big, and I think that you all have organizations, associations that you belong to, and I just hope that they're all working towards pushing the state into giving us the money that we need in order to get these programs going. So. With that, I want to thank you for the presentation. I think that, sorry, Carl.
Just one real quick one. I think it might be worth considering. This isn't staff direction, but have some kind of a presentation on what the impact of the county has been since AB 109 with all of the successive propositions and stuff. Don't waste a lot of staff time on it. Just something, sometime in the future. If we could see that, because this is wonderful. It's our story of how we're dealing with it, but I don't see the impact to the county. And that may be probably I don't know. It's probably in health and human services, public health as well, but something like that.
Yes.
Hello, Lisette Ortiz. I'm the program manager for the Tuolumne Day Reporting Center and Jail Reentry Program. I really want to thank the CCP for funding our program. We deal with the moderate to high-risk offenders. They come into our program, and like Shanna said, it is a very intense program. And like you were just saying, if you want to see the impact, I'd really like for the board to come out to our graduation that we will be hosting. We will have it in November. I have invitations. If you really want to see the human side, the impact of what our program does to these individuals, how it really changes their lives, not only their lives, but the lives of their families and for generations moving forward. I really consider that you guys come out to graduations so that you guys can hear some of these individuals, what the changes they've made in their lives. And that's all I have to say.
Right. Thank you.
No problem.
So please know that I definitely would be there, but I think, I know I've got a conflict with being at the California State Association of County meetings, and because I definitely would be there if I was in town.
Is this CSAC work? This is the week California State Association of Counties meeting.
But thank you for that invitation.
Anytime you guys want to come, we have them twice a year. We can always send you invitations. You guys are always welcome to come.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Thanks again, and with that, I think we can go ahead and...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I was going to ask if you could reread item 15. We did get a response back from Federal Highways.
Okay. Yes.
Reconsideration of the review of the emergency action regarding the Buchanan Road hillside slide area and determining whether or not there is a need to continue the action.
So as Tanya and Kim make their way up to the desk, I'm just going to read one section of response that we received back, and this is from CFL HD, which is the Central Federal Lands Highway Division of FHWA. And after a bunch of background and other statements, anyway, they're saying CFL HD is still willing to implement the rock buttress stabilization solution with our current contractor, providing we can reach a fair and reasonable price. The window for implementing this solution is limited, as the contractor would be starting the work week of October 29th if this is modified into the contract. And here's the key to our discussion this morning. This work would not come with a warranty, as that is not part of the contract and was not agreed upon during the project development. I have confirmed this decision with our management. And then it goes on, and there's other stuff here, but the bottom line then it goes on, in order to keep a schedule with our contractor and to allow time to execute a contract modification, please respond whether or not the county would like CFL HD, Federal Highways, to implement the rock buttress solution by COB Wednesday, October 17th. So that's tomorrow.
So with that, they will pay for the project. Is that correct?
They'll pay for the rock buttress. But they won't. They won't warranty it. And Kim developed this, or Tanya and Kim developed this. It's kind of a pro-con thing. So why don't I let them go through it? But I will say this, that, some givens are, that hillside cannot go through winter without it being fixed, and we can't take the risk of that thing being closed down. They are under a time crunch. If you're in their position, their contractor's about to, pull out. They've got some funds dedicated for this project that they can access right now. And the tenor of the meeting, they're willing, they see the problem, they're willing to do some help, but only do what they feel they can, and warranty is not one of those things. So, Kim, why don't you go and walk through this little chart, because it also speaks to some of the options that we talked about this morning.
Yeah, so really this is, I just threw this together really quickly. I mean, basically, if we let FHWA go ahead, the pro is that we don't have to expend anything. And they can be completed before the end of the year. The con, of course, is that we take on full responsibility for this fix. Something that I don't have in this matrix is we did talk, there was a fellow in the audience today earlier from GSI, and Tanya had invited him in, and we talked a little bit about the proposed work by, with the rock buttress, and they definitely have some concerns. Now, they're proposing something a little different, obviously, so I'm not sure how objective it is, but they don't know that the rock buttress would actually work that FHWA is recommending. If the fix fails, of course, we're 100% liable for it, and we also still have to fix it, which we have an estimate of $1.1 million. If GSI fixes it, we know that we're on for the 1.1, but the liability is with them. We could possibly go after FHWA for reimbursement. There's no guarantee. And again, it would be completed before January 1st. There's really no risk to us if it does fail because there is a 5-year warranty with GSI. And then another option is that we have a third party come in and be objective and review the proposed FHWA fix as well as the GSI fix. And Tanya has talked to someone already this afternoon. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add a little bit more to what's not included in this matrix, because we could proceed with the rock buttress and then come back and stabilize the upper portion of that slope, doing the same type of work of using the pin mesh, but that would be on us. So there's a third option in that sense if we wanted to continue with that, knowing that we cannot get the upper portion of that slope stabilized with FHWA's fix. And then just talking with industry standards, there's a geologist who works with California Geotechnical Engineers Association and kind of understanding the insurances behind and the risk management behind geotechnical science. Back in the 70s, there were geotechnical engineers guaranteeing their work, which caused a lot of lawsuits. So the industry changed where they can only certify their work based on the data that they have investigated. So when you look at when we hire professionals and giving their professional opinions as well as a design that they prepare for us, we look back on errors and omissions if they design fails. In this case, with FHWA, this is not something that we could proceed in following and going back on errors and omissions if the rock buttress fails.
And let me read the comment they said about their fix. They said the rock buttress will retain material up to the active tension cracks with adequate safety factor of safety. The upper slope is slightly less stable, but any small failures that may occur would catch either on the graded bench, the buttress, or worst case into the ditch and lane, but should not result in a full road closure. This is kind of a kicker. We are confident in this designed repair and have extensive experience in complex geotechnical situations in many difficult locations with tremendous success. We do not feel that subsurface investigations, because we also talked about doing borings to find out where the hard rock really is and try to proof out some of the concerns. But that takes time and a lot of money. Or a third geotechnical opinion, which is on the chart here, are necessary, nor would they result in a timely implementation of the stabilization, because again, we're butting up against the time factor to get this all done. So this truly is it's a hard point.
I think that position is outrageous. They make that comment with qualitative comments that we're confident, but we take no liability. You're not very confident.
Right.
You didn't do the job right.
Okay, so where does the 1.1 million come if we don't take?
Well, that option, exactly. That option is kind of a non-starter for us. We don't have $1.1 million sitting around here. Just to put in perspective, we have $750,000 in contingencies, and our reserves are, I think they're sitting around 2.3.
Okay. So another question. This GSI fix. Oh, never mind. You talked about a third option. That was where I was going. and not the third-party geotech, that you talked about. How much is that going to cost us? In other words, we let FHWA fix, and then we go in and stabilize the rest of it. I think that's what I heard you say.
Yes, that was just an option that came up this morning, so I don't have a cost for you.
Okay, educated guess. Order of magnitude. I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, I'm
not going after your piggy bank.
I'm going to look at 600,000. I mean, you got to look at, you still have the same equipment that's going to come out there in order to stabilize the anchors at the top of the slope, and then you would just have less pins, basically, that you're placing on the square footage area of the slope.
Somebody's breathing in their mic. Okay.
I comment because I really see two different things that we have to do here. I don't like this answer at all, and I don't like the fact that they are not assuming any warranty, if you will, for one winter season or 2 winter seasons, and they're just saying that we're going to walk away from this. So I hear the conversation, I think, where it's going, and we all agree that we're going to have to do something immediately. And from my perspective, we probably are going to have to accept putting that rock buttress in there. I don't know if we add the second piece or not yet, but I think immediately we start working with our federal legislature and go down the path of looking for a warranty and draft that correspondence immediately and as forcefully as we can, because I'm going to also point out that was a minimal amount of rain. And when I drive up and down that road and I'm looking at other pieces of that look very similar, and when we have real rain on that road, I have a lot of concerns. And so I know we have to address this immediate piece now and come up with a decision, but also simultaneously I want us to start reaching out immediately with our elected officials in a very forceful manner.
Just for perspective, because I learned something I didn't know. When Federal Highways does this kind of thing, they usually use their own geotechs, right? And they don't ask for warranties from their contractors, and they don't warranty themselves, and that's their mode of operandi. And I'm not saying that to beat them up, but I didn't know that. So from their perspective, anything they do by way of warranty is different. I'm not making excuses for them. It's just that's how they operate.
I understand, Craig, and I understand the contractual thing. I mean, they can't ask the contractor to warrant their work because it wasn't in the original contract. I get that. Okay, fine. But they need to take ownership of the project as an agency, okay? If we had a contract with somebody and didn't get a warranty, we would have to go in and fix the work, okay? That's what I think Supervisor Brennan and Superintendent Handvelt, and I know, and probably Supervisor Gray, and I know Supervisor Rotifer, that's what I'm looking for from FHWA. Sure. How they meet their obligations under that warranty, that's their business, and I'm not going to tell them to go renegotiate that contract, but I think that was their work, and they need to take extreme ownership of it, okay? And that's what I agree with Supervisor Brennan. We need a piece of communication, written communication that needs to go out, and let's get FHWA fixing the darn thing based on what they think is the right fix. But we also need to be pursuing our own guarantees that we're not going to be spending $1.1 million, which will probably inflate to about $1.6 million by the time we get out of the winter and can get road crews in there to fix it.
Yeah, I just want to assure you and the rest of the board, what you all are just saying to us is exactly what we were saying to them this morning, just so you know. But you can say it with greater gusto and more authority given your positions.
Well, we can, but also our congressman can say it. I mean, there are other people that we can enlist. Right. We can get Hetchechi to say it.
Hetchechi is one.
Okay.
Right.
So.
Well, the idea of doing this concurrently, just to go there, because I think need counsel and Kim Seen, I think you found the language for me, because what they want us to do is sign something that basically says that, we're accepting this without any warranty. So I don't know that we can have it both ways, unless.
Yeah, a little extortion here. Yeah, a little bit.
And they want us to sign, that it's, they talked about in this specific fix, that we'd be agreeing to let them do it, and we'd be acknowledging that there's no warranty. And, if that's their I'm just saying, if that's their condition, and then we're saying no, we'll agree to have you go ahead and fix it, but we're going to pursue additional funding for additional work at another level, they may say that's not an option, and then we can get in a stalemate. I just want to make sure that's out there really, really clear. And time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence, but wow, a 24-hour window to accept or decline.
The original window was end of day today, so I think that was their nod to our complaint about that point as well.
I don't care. This is outrageous. It's inappropriate. And I think it's time to. I've already made the initial contacts with both senatorial offices.
Okay. It's extortion.
All right. Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. I'm glad we got the response in time that we could bring it back to you, so we could talk about it.
The action now, though, is what are we going to do? Are we going to go through with the fix, say no, spend the $1.1 million of our money that we don't have? What are we going to do?
The risk is $1.1 million if I read this chart right, regardless of what we do.
Well,
doing nothing and going ahead, it's still $1.1 million.
But it's not 100% risk.
yeah, and I was going to say, assuming that the buttress fails, that's where you would have to spend 1.1 if FHWA does the work and it fails. That's what we're saying.
Now, they did say in here, if we wanted to bite at it, but these are estimates that we're dealing with, from our geotech. They said alternatively, and as previously discussed, they said if the county elects for the GSI proposed solution, I'm just going to say Federal Highways would be willing to cost share up to the amount of the Federal Highway proposed solution, meaning if we want to go on the hook for 1.1 million or whatever it is, they go ahead and cover, whatever this buttress, would cost. Say it's $200,000, $250,000. They'll cover that much of a potential 1.1 fix. That doesn't make me feel real comfortable either, and we can't act that fast. I don't know. Anything else from you guys?
Just that we right now are currently expending money to go out and clean up the slough that has already fallen. We're spending $10,000 a month on lights to make sure that one lane is closed and safe, and and like you said, it had a half inch of rain. So what happens now? We've got a slab that's ready to fall. Could take out both lanes.
I'm not seeing a good option here other than get something fixed.
I'm not willing to let them off and say that they can fix it, and we're not going to ask them to.
I don't want to let them off either, but do you want the road to slide in?
I'm going to look to county council and ask if we can respond and say, again, I know what they're giving us. I'm not sure that we should accept that. So can we respond and say, yes, we'd like the rock buttress, but we're not signing off on the... And they're going to come back and say, okay, then we're not going to do the rock buttress. I understand. I'm trying to buy a little time here, I guess, because that's the other component of this that doesn't seem... this really...
Yeah. When we spoke to them earlier this morning, it felt like we might have a little bit more time because, again, their contractor wasn't scheduled to be out here until the 29th. So I believe they were giving us until the end of the week or next week. So I think it's worth a shot to just respond in that manner. But, we also have to understand that they are also under a time pressure. And if they don't get this modification, what they were explaining was they need to take the time to negotiate with their contractor so that contractor will be ready to be here on the 29th.
Okay, so if we go back and option one, we go back and we say, we would like you to do the work, but we're not willing to sign off on not pursuing you later, okay, for lack of a better word, okay? And they don't, and that thing comes down, are they liable? I mean, they did the original work.
Well, we'd have to investigate that a lot more detail. The original agreement, we understand, basically says after the completion of construction, they're done with the project, so they're not liable. So, but again, we would want to investigate that, and we need a lot more time to do
Okay,
that.
so I don't like letting them off the hook, but I think we've got to take their offer and let them fix the problem as best they can. Otherwise, we're going to have to spend $1.1 million. We might get, this is the old 2x2 zero-sum game decision matrix, okay? We might get through the winter without $1.1 million being invested. We might not, and we might have to spend that $1.1 million in the spring, and we might have to suffer the fact that the road could be completely closed. Well, it won't be $1.1 million if the road goes out. It'll be much greater. I'm off my matrix now.
But it would be. You're right. I mean, we're risking a lot more if that road goes.
Exactly. This irks me. This is legal extortion.
I don't see, if we want to save that road and keep it open, I don't see another option. It's just not there unless we want to come up with $1.1 million to do it ourselves and get somebody to guarantee the work.
I agree. We don't really have a choice. This is the zero-sum game, and we're the losers.
No, it's a
but
negative sum.
that doesn't mean we can't raise enough stink about it. And I'm going to do it.
That's true. I would agree with that.
Okay.
But we have to get.
Okay. Then
you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe we could make a recommendation. So we pursue this. It gives us a little bit of time. And then in the meantime, Tanya brings in her expert, who is actually on the geotechnical board, as a third-party reviewer, just to ensure maybe we can tweak some of their design a little bit.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan.
we need some high-level points of contact in FHWA, because if we're gonna do this, we need to re-engage.
Yeah. Well, just as a point of process, you're always looking for the next time. How do we do better? This, like I said, that learning that came out of this, that they don't warranty their work, that you don't have contractors that stand behind. That's something that should be looked at.
Whoever does a contract without some kind of warranty on the contract?
Federal government, apparently.
Yeah. That's what we thought.
I thought there was a legal requirement for materials and workmanship as a minimum.
California
Uniform Commercial Code.
I don't know.
Okay. Just to say, too, these are the same folks who we're working with right now very carefully to also get us through the Freddie Road fix. Just saying.
That also Evergreen Road.
Freddie Road's just a little country road. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my way home, you know.
I get it.
Okay, so what do you need from us? A motion to,
Well, actually, it's not
direction.
Direction is fine. It's not
Direction.
actually agenda
Right.
other than just for continuing the emergency, which already occurred.
Right, because you gave me the broad authority, but I may be getting short in my time, but I haven't gotten totally dumb. So I'm here just looking. Yeah, no, but yes. So we, Harriet will move on. The front to go ahead and get the work done through them, but also provide information and talking points for your board to pursue.
I need that today because I'm going to contact all of them today.
Right.
okay, so you have enough
I want more than talking.
direction, everybody's good. We're not going to do reports today. Anything else?
Do one quick report.
Okay.
This is Mr. Pedro's last Tuesday board meeting, so we can't just let that go. And it's really important to point out that the county council's office found the mother lode of the Pedro dollars.
Yes.
And we have,
noticed.
yeah, patented
Okay.
that mine. So I just want to point
Okay,
that
we're
out.
under reports. I want
Wait
to
a minute.
clarify.
Come
Let me clarify.
back up. We've got $1.1 million.
So let me clarify, because folks are wondering what the heck are they talking about. So, under report, go ahead.
Reports. Okay,
Reports.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to remind the board that this is to be my last time sitting at the dais during the meeting. That's part of a transition plan that your board approved, and I'm not leaving yet. But as part of our transition, so we'll see Mrs. Riggs, sitting here, and as of the 1st of November, we'll be acting, county administrator. But I'll still be around helping out with some high priority, projects and helping Trace with transitionary things. But yes, so that's just to remind you, and I don't want folks thinking I've ridden off in the sunset yet, but pretty close. And if you do want to come in and see the Pedro dollars in the county council's office, because people always wonder, well, how have you always gotten us out of these financial messes? And the thing has been Pedro dollars. So if you wonder what a Pedro dollar is, you come on into the county administrator's office and you'll see it. Thank you, county council.
And I'm sure that everyone on the dais is just like me. We're still polishing up our roast of you, but thank you for everything you've done.
Yes, sir. All right. No more reports. Meeting adjourned.